23rd edition of the Smart Office Summit. It's really been a journey, something that started off purely about tech in workspaces has evolved to include so much more. So to give a quick glimpse into what the conference is all about and what ITP and commercial design is all about, I'm gonna request Indrajit Sauji, who is the Group Publishing Director at ITP Media India, to please take a stage and address a quick introduction about us. Before that, I would love to play an AV about ITP Media in itself.
It's a true pleasure to be in Bangalore, India's Silicon City. A city that continues to lead the way in technology, innovations, and design. The energy and ideas this city generates makes a perfect backdrop for today's conversation. This evening, we are here to explore how workspaces are being reimagined. Spaces that are smarter, more sustainable, more inclusive, and ultimately, they are built for people. A big thank you to our associate partner, dormakaba, Welspun Flooring, and our category partner, Atlas Concorde by MCI, for supporting this initiative and bringing this event to life. I'll keep the address very crisp. We have a powerful lineup of speakers who are here to share their perspective and spark meaningful conversations tonight. We are joined by a panel of seasoned experts and dynamic professionals, including our moderators Ritu Sharma, Ashish Puri, Surbhi Kunj, and very prolific speakers like Fancy George, Vinod Matthew, Shahana Raghunath, and yes, many more. A heartfelt thank you to each one of them for being part of this platform and leading their voices to this conversation. We are especially honored to have amongst us Mr. Arunjot Singh Bhalla, Managing Director of RSP Design Consultant and our keynote speaker tonight. He is an institution in himself, and every time I pick up a phone and speak to him, I definitely come out wiser. Arunjot is widely respected for his clarity of vision. This can be louder. Yes. Yes. He is widely respected for his clarity of vision, deep-rooted design thinking, and his ability to create spaces that respond not just to the design brief, but to the future of design. His presence here truly elevates the evening. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us here. Before I hand over the forum to Rashmi, let me also take this opportunity to applaud her. She's the force behind this event. She's the one who has single-handedly toiled to make this event happen, and she is also hosting the show tonight. A loud applause for Rashmi. Thank you, Bangalore, once again. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your evening. Thank you once again.
Now, evenings like this is definitely and obviously not possible without the support of industry members and peers. And one such partner with a steadfast partner, actually, if I may say, with Smart Office has been dormakaba. And to give you a quick glimpse into what the company is about, their portfolio and the products, I'm going to quickly call on stage Nandini CG, who is the Senior Manager for Sales with dormakaba, to just deliver a short industry address for us to give a quick introduction. Nandini, over to you. Please come.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to present a glimpse of dormakaba to you all. Our tagline, for every place that matters, signifies our dedication to providing solutions that enhance safety, security, and functionality in a wide variety of settings. I would like to present AV before I move on to the next slides. we are present in over 130 countries and hold more than 1,800 patents. In India, we are present for more than 25 years. We are headquartered in Chennai, where we have our NABL accredited testing laboratory. And from India, we also cater to some of the neighboring markets like Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. Internally, we are organized into various teams that carry their expertise in architectural specifications, product management, and project management, etc. We strive to keep pace with the ever-changing access industry. Our solutions start right from the periphery. We offer boom barriers, full-height turnstiles, P-gates, etc. for the peripheral areas of a campus. Moving on to the building envelope, we provide accesses through our sliding doors, swing doors, both manual and automatic. We have our range of revolving doors, both manual and automatic as well. And for certain high security areas, we have high security revolving doors. The personal interlock on the far end down is one such sophisticated revolving door system. Coming to the interiors, we provide, for the lobbies, we provide swing barriers and turnstiles. We have a whole range of these systems with various finishing options as well. And our solutions, we offer a wide range of products to provide integrated access right from architectural hardware, master key systems, electronic locks, access solutions. Our access control systems comprise of a complete range of access control for any scale of projects, right from a small one to a huge campus, including the card readers, the peripherals, and the integrated software systems. All our products adhere to requirements of fire rating, environment product declarations, international standards like BHMA, and also UL listing. And we also cater to the local regulations. We look into NBC and the PWD requirements also. We can propose master key systems for projects of any scale of project. Here is an audiovisual on one campus, one key.
One key.
Following the industry requirements, we are focusing on barrier-free access, and a lot of our products have ADA compliances already in place. Coming to demountable partitions, we have a complete range of single and double glazed systems, including the doors. These come with third-party acoustic certifications and also environment product declarations. Further, we are leaders in acoustic space management systems with a wide range of options in solid and glaze systems. What you're seeing here right at the top is a semi-automatic horizontal movable wall where the panels are moved manually, but the seals are operated with electric power by a turn of a key switch. And the one at the bottom is a fully automatic system where the manual intervention is completely excluded, and it's a fully automated system. The panels also move automatically. We can provide solid, opaque, and glass systems in all these range. Not only the horizontal sliding systems, you can also explore our range in vertical lift partitions. These are options in opaque and glass systems. The glass system can give an industry high of 52 dB sound reduction, and the opaque system can provide up to 60 dB sound reduction, which is again industry high. We can also provide step configurations for banquet halls or any step configuration requirements. Finally, I would also mention that we are committed to people and the planet. We have been partnering with a lot of agencies to constantly evolve with respect to sustainability, which is a very essential part of the future. Thank you for your attention and have a great evening ahead. And please don't miss visiting our stall and meet our representatives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nandini, for that beautiful insight into what dormakaba was all about. To move to the first session of this day, and it's Indrajit's already introduced him, and honestly, this man requires absolutely no introduction in our circles in any part of India, honestly. But just to do this formality, I'm going to read by a small brief about him that I received from his office. So it's my absolute pleasure to invite our keynote speaker this evening, a visionary leader whose impact on design and architectural landscape spans over 3 decades. Arunjot Balla is the managing director of RSP Design Consultants India, where he leads a team of over 550 professionals across 7 offices. Under his leadership, RSP has delivered over 350 million square feet of projects and continues to shape India's built environment across 36 cities. A graduate of Chandigarh College of Architecture and a postgraduate from MIT USA, Arunjot's distinguished career includes a diverse portfolio from large-scale mixed-use developments and IT campuses to commercial, residential, and interior design. His expertise has earned him a place among the Forbes India's top 30 architects in 2021. He brings a sharp focus on strategy, planning, and sustainability, all of which are critical to the evolution of future workspaces. Beyond practice, he is an respected thought leader and speaker, and it gives me, once again, an immense pride and joy to welcome him on stage. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Arunjot Singh Bhalla, as he shares his insights on the future of workspaces and role of design in shaping smarter offices. Mr. Bhalla.
Thank you so much, Rashmi, for a very nice introduction. Thank you, Indrajit. You're always too kind to me. Thanks, Fancy, to push me to be here. Thank you also to my team for putting the presentation together, particularly Ashwin, who is standing right there. Such a pleasure. Also honor and privilege. These industry events help me connect back to friends and clients who sometimes I kind of miss. So thanks everyone. Thanks also to the ITP Media Group, Commercial Design Magazine, and all the promoters and associate partners for this event for enabling us to be here tonight. Now, when one starts looking at an office or a smart office or a situation where one is asked to speak, my mind goes to what can be, which is something different, because the panel topics are superbly extensive and well thought through. So I don't want to stand here and maybe make a synopsis of what will follow. So I thought we should do something which can be thought-provoking and somewhat different. It also aligns a little bit with our thought process over the last decade as to how architectural design and workspaces can be a little bit more meaningful than what we currently have on our cityscapes. So it's just an attempt. What I'll do is I'll share our thoughts with you. Ours means the entire RSP design groups, and also then take you through some representative projects. And then you can make your opinion as to whether we are getting to be successful in what we do. So the topic is cultural and historic influences on modern architecture and interior design. Now, it's prompted by what the whole panels and as far as the topics for this evening were. And it takes us to a little bit of a preamble. Global versus local. People also go ahead and coin a terminology called glocal. They try to blend the two. But I kind of break it into 2 parts. So global is where it's high-paced And then there is this whole desire, like all of us sitting here are also sitting and thinking, when can I get out of here? And then how much time it's going to take me to reach home? And this whole desire to slow down a little bit, introspect more. Technology is everywhere, but then COVID happened. And as much as it now goes back into the recesses of our minds and memories, it was an event that enabled us to actually do this, which is introspection, and sit and think what all we are doing. Is it the right way we are doing it? What we are doing, what meaning will it have for the planet? Our planet is precious. The ecological aspects, the climate aspects all came to fore because we had finally some time to think. And that's why I use the word introspection. Now, the digitization is so fast, and it is enabling the design fraternity to come up with more options than we ever could earlier. It is also enabling us to explore things in a very cutting edge manner to create designs that can be really what we would have called maybe 10 years back bizarre. So the bizarre is becoming normal, and there will be all a desire from many clients who will say, okay, how can it be different? How can I be hatke from the other guy? You know, I want to be able to compete in a space. And your creativity is being measured by how unique or different aspects that you can create, and technology and digitization is helping you. But what is probably not coming through in then is the traditional aspects of things. And that gets lost because there's such a huge culture behind us, such a big repository of work behind us. Are there lessons that we should not ignore? Sometimes gets lost because from an architect or a designer or an interior designer is as good as the client brief and the client pushing them to achieve new boundaries. Some things that happen when you do that is that you lose a sense of place and context. So you can have a particular project or a design, and then it could be anywhere in the world. It's global. It's not rooted where you came from. And then that could then lead to a loss of identity because it's anywhere. It could be anything. And you could be then saying, oh, this is the new normal. That's how I want to do it. And then people who go and start getting more into the traditional aspects, then those designers are sentimental. They are romantic, anachronisms of time, which they are just locked somewhere in the past. So all this is happening, and this all keeps playing out at the back of what is called a design program or a client brief. It's behind. It's running in every designer's mind, and you're trying to see what you can do it. It's definitely running in our design group's mind. But the key thing is, what does that end user want? And the only way you can figure that out is if you did a dipstick into once the project was completed. So these are the thoughts. I thought it's worth putting on the table and making ourselves think, where is the balance? How much of what we want to adopt, and how do we take forward? I'll show you a few representative aspects of our work where we tried achieving these. So the explorations, there was a limited competition design for a particular corporate at Noida. There is a business park in Dubai. I'll run a video for that. Microsoft ITC Noida, which we did when Meenakshi was with us. The Hexaware campus, SAP Labs campus, that's ongoing. And then a few shots of a heritage center as well, which is not a workplace, but I'll leave that with you. So these are the few explorations that I'll share with you tonight. So the campus at Noida never got built, but then won the best unbuilt project of the year 2023. So many of the things that I'm saying and I'm going to show you today are not there, but I want to show them to you. So I also want you to read this. As I get older, I constantly think about what are the learned experiences and memories that we have. And very much recommended book or extracts of the book you can read. This is a magic book because you can read it anywhere in between, is The Invisible Cities. An extract from there says, it talks of cities, it talks of a mythical city called Tamara. But as you read this, and I don't want to read it out to you, the main thing is the eye does not see things, but images of things that mean other things. I want you to ponder over this line a little bit. So as we do these things that are manifested around us, that's what you see, right? Then what's your mind doing? It makes associations back to memories. it extrapolates into the future and imagines things. So that's happening in your brain. So you register, okay, Jonathan, you are sitting there, I see you, and then I see something that is orange there, and that might take me to orange Dutch country, things like that, you know. So how do the associations, I see some asters on the table there, and then where does that go, and Meenakshi is wearing red, so, and you're wearing green. So that's immediately getting registered, right? But the mind is making other deeper senses out of this or sensibilities out of this. How can we code that into design? How can we make more of what is? So we tried that in this particular campus or some of our works. So we go to, this is about, that's the site, about 15 odd acres. It's in Noida. There are NDAs, so I can't talk much about it, but that's the site. Now we started thinking what can inform the design process of this site. And let me tell you, it is a very conventional campus brief. These many bandas, that many people have to sit, that many amenities have to be provided. They have to do A, B, C, D, relate with each other. They need that much space to come out, landscape, sustainability, all the parameters. The standard ones that all of us who are on the architectural interior design fraternity know precisely. So then how do we take it there? And then since it is Delhi, should we look at Old Delhi? Should we look at Red Fort? Fatehpur Sikri, those of you who have been to Agra, must place to go to, how it can get unified. The red stone forms the ground plane, goes up to the buildings. This is a misnomer here. This is a city, it's not Elbar or Caesar. That's parts, apologies for that. And then Santorini itself, which is one of my favorite places, and I hope it survives all the small earthquakes that keep happening now and then. Now, if you look at the Santorini image, infinite sea blending with the sky, that white mass of settlement, and then there is open space between the sea and that's all those volcanic rocks. Now, if you look at traditional cities, density was good. Now, when we will sit and talk to our clients, they will continue saying, no, it should be open, you know. But the traditional cities, for reasons of security, climate, self-shading, etc., but very important for community interaction, were dense. So we started thinking, are there aspects, A, in the context, B, in lessons like this, where we can imagine a denser development than what the client is visualizing. So we started sketching, of course, that's par for the course, but I want you to see that it started moving in a very straightforward manner, and then starts fragmenting, becomes completely chaotic, then order starts prevailing again, and ultimately it ends up here. Now, you know, if you are sitting there and you have done campuses, it's very, very difficult to ever conceive a campus that will end up looking like this. So what the hell is going on? Why should we, where is my box? Where is my efficiency parameters? How am I going to have my cores and all that go through? But if you go back in your mind's eye and think of any organic settlement, it's got some randomness. Randomness might have come through over time. But that is what makes it so beautiful, because you have then, you encounter things that you never thought your structured mind will take you. So how do you create, our exploration was, how do you create in spaces, within a structured space, how do you unstructure it? So that became the exploration there. And the campus plan started emerging like this. It has all the things that one would want. It has the food courts, it has the wellness program, the yoga pavilions, it has all the green spaces, sports court, but it's a settlement. And if you see inside, it is not crazily infested with trees. The trees are on the outside. Why you don't need absolutely trees in such densities to come in? Well, A, one can argue they distract from the architecture. And if you believe I am just saying like that, think of the city of Florence if you have been there. You don't see trees in the middle of Roman plazas. But you can get the shading happening because the density is there. Now that also leads to eye contact. I can be in this building and looking into the other building. It'll make me curious to see what's happening there. So those kind of things can happen. But then you look at, it's out of scale, we did it purposely, but there is a pattern on the floor. So multiple readings. So the green juxtaposes against the, literally like a fortress wall, and then there is the settlement which is on the inside. Now, that's what we ended up with. Why does that angle, why do those things happen? Well, north, south, amount of light coming in, all the aspects. And the inside world is workstations. It's got its cores, it's got its toilets, it's got everything in it. And it's got the numbers. It's got the spaces that relate to each other. And inside you can do many other things that you would want to do. There is nothing wrong with doing that. But then if you look at this space, this staircase will lead you to a space below where there will be an amphitheater, and the amphitheater will lead you to the basement. So this connects to the nether regions as well. It's not a design that leaves you, oh, this is my ground plane, that's my green, and my basement is below. This is about interconnectedness of things, how you can go from a terrace to the basement, and the journey is not on the horizontal plane itself, it's also on the vertical plane. And you can do whatever you want to do on the inside. There's nothing to stop you. You can do all the currently in vogue stuff, or you can go and do it in a very conventional manner as well. So now this is what starts happening. So the architecture of it starts pulling in. Incidentally, this was designed as a carbon sequestering tower. And then the red sandstone starts coming up, the screens coming in where they are required. And eye shifts west to east, scale changes. So it's not a box. It is not something that you look at and start believing, well, I have my efficiency parameters. So you're coming in from below, you're climbing up, and you're walking. Then you're walking through streets. Now those internal streets, those have some trees in there, and the food courts can open up, and you can have arcades. It's a world that is now outside of the office. But you can see the randomness that is. And so what is very important is the stone. That's why Fatehpur Sikri is a very important example, because in all those shapes, the red stone is connecting everyone to everyone else. You can have sculptures. You can do windows of different size. Then you come to aspects of the terrace. Now, how many of you have flown a kite? And if you flew a kite, you would fly it from the terrace. So now this terrace business became taboo earlier before COVID. Oh, somebody will jump off. Then so many people died, so then they said, okay, in COVID, now it's okay. If some more die, it's okay. Climb to the terrace. But if you use the terraces and start connecting from the terraces, you can do magic on terraces because that's a whole plane available to you, which you are just, not you, we are fixing this up with all this MEP stuff and all that. But if the terraces became places, so what are terraces in a traditional city? The terrace in a traditional city is a place of joy where you can meet, we can commune with each other and have activities like terrace, these kite flying. So the kite flying thing stayed in my head from my childhood days, and we thought we should do this. And then they are at different levels. So I can see somebody here onto the other terrace. Seeing is important. We're not doing enough of it. We are just making these boxes and not connecting. Anyway, you can still have a corporate look. Nobody stops you. But then, having established the corporate look at the beginning of the campus, you can then start scaling it downwards. And then you can do your EPIs and you can do all the things that you need to do. Otherwise, you're not getting through anywhere in any case. And then you have all the daylight analysis done. I just put it to just tell you that it was not an abstract exercise. It was done very, very thoroughly. And if it was built, it would have been built. It remained unbuilt. So this is one. And then I want to take you, now how do I run this video? So I want to take you through take you to another world, take you to Dubai now. International competition, got a second prize. So also not built. Okay, but worth having a look at. Just wait for the video. Okay.
The inspiration for crafting this rich tapestry is the traditional settlements, seamlessly blending culture with futuristic design. The design concept comprises of two unique site edges. Responding to DO headquarters, we created a central hub serving as a community magnet. We have relocated the DO lake to the edge for a scenic waterfront experience. A central social axis connects the two main arrival points of the campus. Streets are created by dividing the built form. Buildings oriented for optimal daylighting and minimum irradiation. We have divided the podium level to create a distinctive retail space, evoking a traditional souk essence. The modern office towers are positioned on top of traditional Casbah-style ground level. A visually striking roof canopy drapes over the towers to enhance its iconic form. At the very epicenter of the development, we have designed the celebration lake and the cultural hub, anchoring social interaction and community engagement. Facing the headquarters, this dynamic and vibrant site edge offers immersive experiences by integrating the nature with the built. We have seamlessly blended modern and traditional by fragmenting the ground level, thereby reimagining the souk concept. Vibrant streets create a diverse and lively ambience similar to the traditional marketplaces. This unique character is enhanced by its narrow proportions and mutual shading by office towers, providing pedestrians with extended shaded and enjoyable retail experiences. On top of this Casbah-styled ground level, we have placed futuristic offices. This interesting approach blends the sleek, vertical office towers with the intricate ground level features. This waterfront promenade experience is enriched with continuous retail edge and extensive terraces. Surrounded by the water, the convention center is a non-intrusive structure. It features an amphitheater descending to the waterfront, surrounded by the iconic walkable roof of Plaza. The Plaza is the magnetic hub, offering opportunities of celebration, social interaction, outdoor engagement. Shaded by the iconic roof canopy, extensive terraces are designed as collaboration hubs while enjoying the natural breeze. With collaborative expertise of our partners, we aspire to set new benchmarks in architectural excellence and urban design. Powered by integrated sustainable solutions that are rooted in Dubai's culture and innovative design thinking, we look forward to join hands to usher in the future of work.
Okay. And then there's a problem project we landed up. Microsoft appointed us. They said they want Taj Mahal inside an office. It was very painful. I went to Delhi, sat with them to tell them this is not going to happen. In retrospect, they made it happen. We picked up a whole bunch of design awards as well. Gave nightmares to Meenakshi and team as well. But to do this, it became something that we really, first of all, did not know how to do. And we did not know how to put a Taj Mahal inside that office. We know there's only 10 feet, floor to floor. So we stuck with this, and then we brainstormed and said, okay, when you say the Taj Mahal, you just don't go with the dome and the cupola and the minarets and the white marble. It's a sum and aggregate of many other things. It's the river Yamuna, which flows next to it, which is a rich blue sometimes. Sometimes it's mostly brown, but blue. Then the red colors, and then all this, it's something that we could take our cues from. And then we started applying them and saying, okay, if we broke, so this is the central core, which we imagined it to be the Taj cupola, where you're coming out. And then we said, okay, we'll look at the gardens on one side. If you go to the Taj, there are gardens there, and that's the Yamuna. And then we start doing literal translations into, you can see tranquility, iconic, paradise. How do we get our arms around it? And then we said, okay, start looking at journey, how it happens along the river. Then and just don't limit it to the Taj. Rivers are what our culture flows across the river, right across the tapestry of India. How do we take that and apply it? So that became the symbolic river around that central core. And then, of course, workstations and stuff had to be laid out. But then we rejected the idea of this blue carpet and said motion can happen through what we ingrain inside the marble. Now, this is what I meant when I said how you can imbibe and code multiple interpretations into a material. So back to that invisible cities, there are things that some people can imagine, some don't, okay? So now that's how it ultimately shaped up. Even that Bill Gates graphic, you don't see it all every time. You have to change your head and then you see it and then you don't. That kind of things are coded in. Radiant cooling panels, no, these are baffle panels. Then stuff like that. Then arches that don't connect. We were very, very conscious of the fact that how much do you really copy from the Taj, and that can be a problem. Now, this particular project, before I go on to the next one, and I'm cognizant of the fact that time is up, it's loved by the guys, the employees. They just love it. It got voted as the best Microsoft campus that year in it, globally. And that's what I meant. What does the end user want? And the whole aspect is that we are providing so many things by way of amenities, then every campus, every place is providing the same. So what does the end user want? And if they are happy, then let's stop agonizing over it. It's a great design if the end user is happy. Okay. Now I'll just leave you with a few pictures of some other campuses as well, where we have been exploring this aspect of bringing some lessons from our traditions back in. It's the Hexaware campus in Pune. It looks at a lot of this sandstone spaces that are in between spaces. So it does some magical things in terms of the volumes and volumetrics that you can see. Every window you look out gives you a different experience. So all this glass, sometimes you can get all the parameters met and get great amount of stone in as well. The ongoing SAP Labs campus, the minute it is done, I request that who all can go, should go. Because this is another great place where we could have some influence of Indian architecture come into the architecture of this space. So it has jalis like this. Phase 1 is getting completed soon. So that's what's happening. It's already another 3-4 months it shall be up and running. Last few slides, while we are talking workspaces, this whole context keeps coming up in our head that when I speak about the past and the present and the future, we are lucky to be, a client appointed us for this particular project. Those of you who remember Astha channel would remember Jai Kripalu Maharaj, the guy who had big ears. JKP appointed us for this campus, and the context is that. The design is this for the experience center. So in very historic settings, you can do something extremely modern as well. Now when you do that, it can be magical. I'll just show you as it gets constructed, some pictures. So that's coming up. And this is concrete. A very reputed Australian contractor failed in the mock-up. Could not do it. Local small contractors have come in and delivered this. So while we talk of the big names, let us not forget our local traditional craftsmen who can create magic like this. I'm purposely not naming the company that failed. It cost 1.5 years of getting just the mock-up right. This is what is happening, and this is what's going to be on the inside. It's going to have, so what is it that we have? So when I say, and this is the last slide, so when I say it's traditional, I am not necessarily saying that we have to make these arches and domes and so on and so forth. You can create a very spiritual and sensuous experience in a very modern manner, in a very historic setting as well, and create something that is quite amazing. So that's the last slide. That's what we are looking for. Can we link traditions with the present and the future? Thank you so much.
I'm going to quickly call on stage Mr. Indrajit Sauji and Mr. Shankar Dey, who is the Deputy Vice President from Marketing at dormakaba, to present a small token of appreciation from our end. And honestly, just a few thoughts that have been running through my mind while he was presenting that. Especially his insights into the cultural and historical layers of what shapes modern spaces, tells us, thank you so much, sir, thank you, tells us how design is never created in a vacuum, and it's all about the connection and dialogue between time, place, and imagination. And that quote from Invisible Cities, literally, it says how our spaces are not just form, but it's also about memory and meaning. And with that, it is a brilliant pleasure to have heard you, sir, and learned so much from that address. Thank you so much. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Now, moving to our next session for the day, we have a quick industry address by one of our partners here again, Welspun Flooring. And to deliver this address, I'm going to quickly call on stage Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, who is the Vice President for Commercial Spaces at Welspun Flooring, to take on stage and give us a quick glimpse about what Welspun Flooring and their products are all about.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saurabh Agarwal. I'm representing Welspun Flooring. I'll just quickly take you through a brief presentation on Welspun Group per se and Welspun Flooring in particular. A quick discussion about the group. We are now close to a $4 billion group into multiple businesses. A very, very strong manufacturing-oriented company, which masters the manufacturing technology in whatever businesses we are. In fact, many of our factories have appeared into the National Geographic Channel Super Factory series also. So that's a quick introduction on Welspun. We are basically known in the industry for our textile business, where out of every 5 towels sold in US, 1 towel is manufactured by Welspun in India. And same is the case with the bed sheets. Out of every 7 bed sheets now, 1 is manufactured by Welspun in India. So almost a 20% market share in US by a company based out of India. We also are the manufacturer for the towels for the most iconic sports event, Wimbledon. So for last 17, 18 years, whatever the towels are being used in Wimbledon are manufactured by an Indian company, which I'm sure makes me proud of this particular fact. Thank you. Other businesses we are into, we are world's among the top 2 largest companies for manufacturing these line pipes, which is for the transmission of oil and natural gas from one continent to other, under the sea and over the mountains and all. We also are into the road projects, steel. We are there into Syntex brand, the water tanks, which are, I'm sure, a household name. That is also the Welspun group of the companies. Present in across the globe, almost 50 odd countries. And we represent the best names like Walmart, Costco's, and all in all. Moving ahead to the flooring part of it. So Welspun flooring, for the flooring, we have set up one of the most iconic plants in Hyderabad. This plant is considered among the top 2 best plants in the world for the manufacturing of specially carpets. We also manufacture a couple of other products which I'll discuss. But one of the very, very unique facilities on a 600-acre land bank with an investment of more than $250 million. A real iconic plant which is gold certified, which is platinum certified by USGBC and IGBC. I'll just take you through this small AV on the plant.
Welspun has set up one of the most technologically advanced manufacturing facilities for producing carpet tiles, broadloom carpets, artificial grass and SPC flooring in India. We are globally certified with platinum-rated LEED certification by IGBC, a certified zero-waste plant and many more. It is one of the few vertically integrated plants for carpet tiles in India, and we maintain the highest quality right from using our in-house color pigments to the extrusion of various types of yarns for the manufacturing process. Our world-class yarn processing ensures highest quality output to create our carpet tiles. All our products are also tested in top US labs, ensuring the world-class quality. With Welspun, your flooring needs end here, as we are your one-stop flooring solution. Step up to Welspun flooring with our Made in India, made for the world products.
So I'm sure you found this interesting and different. Just moving on. So basically the products what we offer to you for the offices, one definitely the carpet tiles which are required for the offices. We are one of the very few companies across the globe who offer the printed technology also in carpets, be it the wall-to-wall carpets for the hospitality segment or it is for the office segment. Where we can give you any customization, any color, any design, be it an Indian art and craft, be it a, like any Moroccan design, whatever you want, we can do it. In fact, in terms of our wall-to-wall carpet space, we are dealing with the top-notch hotel chains across the globe. This is our click and lock tile, which is equivalent to an LVT. Some of our wall-to-wall, and we also offer the green grass. Some of the, carpet images. These are the different collections. This is a list of our customers, real impressive list. We have worked with more than 900 customers and all the industry best names I'm sure you can find. We just picked and chosen some to put over here. Now I'll just take you through, that was all about the product. I'll take you through 2 different technologies very, very quickly, a very, very short AV on the same. So ladies and gentlemen, isn't it interesting, from this plastic waste bottle, we are able to make the carpet. And I'm sure this is the true discussion which we are going to have today in terms of sustainability and circularity and all. And just to give you some perspective in terms of the number, I'm sure all the esteemed guests sitting here, you are designing the projects or you are making your own campuses which are multi-million square feet campuses, just 1 lakh square feet of carpet, you can eliminate 2.3 lakh bottles. It is not a small number. So just imagine any good campus of 10 lakh, you are able to eliminate 23 lakh bottles from your own city. I think that is what we really call as sustainability. The only idea is that we as a team will have to pick it up. Again, something which is very, very breathtaking, very different concept altogether. I'm sure never heard in the world. We are the first one in the world to offer a carpet tile which can absorb carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. Something very unique, never thought about it. It's a European company who invented this technology, and we were fast enough to tie up with them for the carpets. A very small presentation on that, I'll just show it to you. So world's first carpet tile, or the carpet which absorbs carbon dioxide in a place like this. I'll be more happy to discuss with you on this particular project. Just moving on, to give an idea, 1 lakh square feet again here translates to as good as 90 full-grown trees inside your office. So that's the beauty of this particular project. The last thing, I'll take 1 more minute, Rashmi, just to talk about something I'm sure this you have seen many times in many places, right? What is this? These are the textiles which are used generally for helping our differently able challenged person to navigate through, right? Now, by one of the leading companies, we were given a challenge, can you do something on this in carpets? And here is the product, what we came out with. In one of the top multinationals company in Bangalore, almost a 10 lakh square feet campus, we created the textiles made from the carpet, which completely integrated with the carpets around. Now, with the help of this, I'm sure we have our wonderful friend Rama who's sitting here. She's the DOC consultant for that, for the accessibility consultant for that, who along with that organization's team and Welspun team, were the force behind designing something which is novel. Nobody in the world has thought that you can have a tactile carpet tile. So in the entire campus, if you walk through, the visually impaired people can walk through and can navigate through without any problem. We have displayed a small sample of this in our booth over there. I would request you to see, because this is something which is very different, very unique. With that, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Panel discussion of this evening, which is titled Bridging the Gap Between Global Standards and Local Realities. Before I introduce or bring forward my speakers, I need to tell you that this particular panel has been curated, ideated, and brought together all by the speakers themselves. They were the ones who, in fact, Fancy was the one who brought together everyone. Ritu was the one who opted for the first time. In my entire 23 years of journey, not 23 years, 23 editions of, Smart Office, was in moderator, so excited about moderating a panel discussion with this topic. So it is an immense pleasure to call each one of these speakers on stage, and to let you know the diversity in this group is also impeccable, because it's not just about design. We have an architect, we have an infrastructure head, we have an operations head from a real estate company, and also the facilities head with some of the biggest companies and campuses in India. So with this, I'm gonna first call on my speakers, Fancy George, who is the CEO for Thomas Workplace Design. Joining her is Jonathan Yach, who is the head for operations and customer success at Gopalan Enterprises India. And finally joining them is Vinod Matthews, who is the regional director for global real estate and facilities at APAC Amazon. And to moderate this panel and take it forward, direct this entire discussion here, I'm going to call the Sutradhar of this particular panel discussion, which is Ritu Sharma, who is the Executive Director for International Enterprise Services at Boeing International. With this, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our panel members here and this oncoming panel. And I'm going to hand it over to Ritu quickly here. Thank you so much.
How's everybody doing this evening? I couldn't hear that. Okay. Do you feel that your global teams need a deeper understanding of global cultures and its complexity while designing workplaces. And I'm happy that Arunjot mentioned it briefly when he opened the evening for us today. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to this important conversation where we explore the tension and the opportunities between global ambition and local adaptation. As Rashmi announced the topic for today, it is a theme that I think deeply resonates across industries, but especially within the built environment which we are representing in this room today. As organizations expand across geographies, we are often faced with very, very critical question. How do we honor the consistency and intent of a global design, safety standards, sustainability initiatives, while remaining sensitive to the culture, capability, and the context of each location where we want to build? So we have various lenses on the stage today. We have an end user and an occupier who lives and breathes the space. We have an experienced architect who crafts the emotional and sensory journey with it. And last but not the least, a workplace strategist and a design consultant who navigates this complex symphony between global policy, local execution, and user aspirations. Over the next few minutes, I'm very, very hopeful that we will be able to explore very, very diverse themes and ideas and a little bit of deliberation on this topic. How do we blend and try to find that unique balance between global initiatives blended to the local environment? So with that, I'll join the panelists. And many a times, we are posed with a lot of global standards. We're both working for large global companies. And there's nothing wrong with global standards, but we constantly need to interpret it meaningfully so that it can blend into the local context. What I'd love to hear from you is, how do you do that? And were there any challenges? What's your experience in this?
Yeah, I think, thanks for that question. I think it really resonates the topic very clearly. And before I really want to go deeper in this, Ritu, I think we should just go back maybe 20 years back, right? When literally India was evolving. And what was the parameters for the business to come and evolve here? And then what were the parameters for the global teams to come to, let's say, very Indian context? What was the priority for us in things like EHS, sustainability, or even core cost arbitrage, right? Things were very heavily tilted towards the cost arbitrage when things were coming 20 years back. Over the years, I would say global functions have evolved, Indian market has evolved, and it is also the aspiration of the Indian companies to see that what we are building, not just from a real estate point of view, but also other aspects which are the way companies look at compensation, way companies look at benefits, way companies look at how they treat experiences in these spaces. So coming to the point now just that's a context setting, that how in 20 years we have evolved from really highly focused on a cost arbitrage to this journey where we have reached today. And that's where the biggest challenge comes, that, okay, do we really know everything here, or do we have these global guidelines which really set the bar for what to look up to? So yes, there is a challenge which lot of people face, but I have a way to do things which I use is to really understand the reason of why. And when I say why we want to do this, whenever there is a global guideline coming in, and this why is from two aspects. The why is also from the first thing, that how does it impact my business here? And then the second aspect is, why does the global team is prioritizing this standard? And once this why is understood, then the onus is on me to align the business giving the importance of why we are doing this. And then sometimes we also push back the global teams to say that it's not contextual. What works in, let's say, US or Europe will not work here because of ABC reasons. So there's always a healthy tension, and I think we are at a cusp where we are really at par with many of the global standards, but with a lot of local nuances. So for me, it is always having that challenging response, always asking that question to these global guidelines, and also even challenging the local businesses many times when they want too much of local. Arun briefly mentioned that what the business wants. I always look at from a SME what the business needs. So it depends on which part and which customer are you serving. So that's my response on that.
So I think you're bringing up a great point, because it's about what's the strategic intent of why it's being done, what is being told to be done. If you are able to get a better context of that intent, it becomes easier for you to blend yourself and then to find that unique balance. So I'll move to Jonathan, because, Jonathan, you work in a very, very different environment. We are more, I would say, more on the commercial side, but you have a lot of experience, especially on the retail environment, and you work with very, very difficult stakeholders as well. So what's your take on this?
To ITP for organizing this event, and it's wonderful to be on this panel. Thank you. And no, I want to take issue with you immediately. I don't believe that we have any difficulties here at all. I think it's part of the challenge of actually working and being involved and engaging in such a culture-rich country like India. Mm-hmm. And I think that you'd be crazy to believe that we here in India have to stick with the rules that are imposed when you've got such a richness in tradition and in culture. And when I look at real estate here, yep, I consider a very simple South African aphorism. I'm going to teach you a South African word as well, if you don't mind. I've always managed my shopping centers and now our office parks considering a very simple saying: local is lekker. Lekker, by the way, is a Dutch South African word for nice, great, wonderful. We never, ever think to turn our back on that which is rich and traditional. Arun said that earlier in your presentations. You touched on it now as well. Why on earth would we want to abandon, forgive me for saying, our Indianness if it's survived for the last 3,500, 4,000 years? Why on earth would you want to turn your back on it? A standard is a benchmark for performance. It's not let's give up our culture. I remember when we were opening a very big shopping center just around the corner. In fact, at the time, it was the biggest mall in India. So many people from all around India used to say to me, how did you do this? It's a blend, they said, of the richness of Indian retail, and it's clearly modern, and it's clearly befitting all the standards that you would associate with national building regulations and code and all of those things. And I reminded everybody who asked the question that in actual fact, when you look at what we do here, it's a point, Vinod, you made. You've got to explain to your team what you want. Begin with the end in mind. And isn't that what a standard and what the execution of a standard should be all about? And if you, as a management team, understand what the standard is there for, at least explain it to your staff, right? At least make sure they understand, at least embrace them and engage them with the vision. And I'll bet you that you'll succeed. What I'm finding in most businesses is that people abandon the engagement and the explanation. What they end up doing is they impose, which is probably just what people who write these standards want. They want it to be imposed. It's like an imposed will. But actually, if you explain why there are standards, to your point, Vinod, it's a safety, it's a comfort, it makes perfect sense to have safety standards, otherwise the buildings would fall down. It makes sense. Explain it in those important and in simplistic way. Then suddenly you'll have an overarching engagement. And then it becomes fun. I've always been on the fun side of the engagement and on the implementation, because working with teams, it's terribly important that people are engaged and are included. If you lose one person on the sidelines, they become that nasty little sniper who keeps shooting you down. Well, if you actually put all your effort into making sure that it's a team effort and people understand, even the person who doesn't really want to be involved, they'll be involved.
So, just to follow on that, so how do you navigate through these cultural and maybe regulatory differences that might come your way? I'm sure that poses a challenge. How do you navigate through that?
Yes. She was asking lots of questions before we came. God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Use it in that proportion. And in my case, I'm lucky. I've got a good high threshold for observation. So observation-led decision-making is important. But I may not understand the millions of languages here in India, but with Google Translate and with all my friends and colleagues who are willing to translate for me, the reality is that I actually get along quite well. And I've always said to my non-Indian colleagues who come here is, listen to the drums, listen to the noise, listen to the crescendo, because everybody else does. Get used to it. Listen to the traffic, listen to the honking. Those are your customers, those are your worker bees, those are the people who are coming to your workspaces and to your shopping centers. Get used to it. Don't think that because you have a store like Hamleys in London, you're going to impose that in Bangalore. Hamleys here, in my view, is a far richer business, by way of example, than anything you have anywhere else. And for those of you who might miss my accent, I'm Cape Town based. I love Cape Town. I'm South African. Don't speak to me about cricket. But the reality is that I grew up in one of the most richest and diverse cultural environments on the planet. And here, so many years ago, my family and I came here and we built India's largest shopping center, which was great. But there are a lot of people who don't have that rich tradition. So my suggestion is that they should listen more and they should use their eyes more. And also, because people here are all amenable to answering why, ask questions. Consider everybody here the AI solution that you're looking for. Why do we throw funny colored paint at each other on the 13th of March? I mean, really. It dirties the floor and it's a problem for air conditioning, but we do it. And what do we do in shopping centers and in office complexes? We encourage it. Why?
Wow.
It's because culture eats strategy for breakfast. And don't ever forget that.
Okay. So maybe Vinod, what's your take? Because I think just looking at it, a large American multinational, and then of course there are multitude of cultures. The demography is also constantly evolving. How do you blend into that cultural and regulatory requirements? How do you strike that balance?
So I think the way I look at it, for us, compliance starts on top. Right? How do you, that's non-negotiable. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
So compliance is non-negotiable, safety is non-negotiable. And then rest everything is a spectrum where you can do push and pull. Like, so compliance, safety, and then there will be few more, which I would say like IT, AV, print solutions, which I would not really budge because it has to be consistent across. Rest everything, there is a cultural aspect. A simple way to explain is, you go to US, individuals go for lunch. We don't go for lunch if there are minimum 3 people with us or 4 people with us. So you cannot fathom, or people sitting in US cannot fathom that we need a huge cafeteria to manage our experience. It's just a simple thing. Our restrooms, we work in shifts. There are 300 people coming at one time. Obviously, you cannot complain that why do you have long queues or high cleaning standards here. So these are very culturally nuanced things which we appreciate, and we need to educate our counterparts there that when they make guidelines, they need to have these aspects. Very similar. Philippines is very similar to India. China, to a large extent, is quite advanced, but very similar in culture to India. Singapore, Australia, very similar to US or Europe, very developed market. So if you are not able to understand that there are these different locations where people behave differently and we need to give service accordingly, you're going to fail. And the best thing to do is be vocal about it rather than just plainly taking guidelines, saying that, oh, this is how the company has said and I don't want to put my brain, just copy it.
I think I would agree with you, and I think one of the things that I have done differently over my journey has been to, whenever I've engaged with global stakeholders, I ensure that I take a little bit of that extra time to get them engaged to the local culture in India, right? So if somebody is visiting us during the time of Holi, we don't shy away from, playing a little bit of Holi so that the person understands the intent and is part of that whole experience that we want the person to have. And that's how you start to have build partnerships, I would say, with your global stakeholders who then start to appreciate when you are saying why you need a hard flooring at the entrance. Why do you think that maybe granite is a better bet than, tiles? I think they start to then appreciate it, right? So Fancy, you have, your experience, tons and tons of experience working with difficult stakeholders and customers like us.
Yeah,
What do you have to say?
30 years of it, yeah. Because I want to go back and, be a bit of a devil's advocate to everything what you're saying, right? Because you say that you challenge your, stakeholders and talk to them. But who are the people who are designing talking to? I think that's also important. It's a very important point because what happens is, like, there are many layers, and the architect or the designer who's sitting there talking at different levels, they have to ask questions, correct? Jonathan, they have to ask questions. But who are they asking the questions to? Because a lot of them are asked to just, keep quiet, this is what it is, just do what I say, right? So I think it's very important to understand what that level of, stakeholders you're talking to is, to push that idea through. There are a lot of challenges, okay? The cultural aspects of it and everything, every idea that you're pushing through, people like me, I push my way through. I don't take no for an answer, I get into arguments and I just go. But then how many of us are there who can do that? So I think it's very important to understand in your organizations that you have the right team also working with you, okay? And also managing those design teams under. That layering is very, very important.
And I think we are still at a very nascent stage when it comes to skill and capabilities in that, right? Of course, some companies have more matured leaders in this space who have the ability to get a context and understanding of what a designer wants to, spec for that project. So I'm just wondering, and I'm thinking loud right now, I'm going back to Arunjot's example, right? A classic example of how often we talk about workmanship in our country, right? And we struggle with workmanship. But I think it's a great example that he quoted how local success stood the test of times over global challenges. So thank you for sharing that. I think it made each one of us very, very proud in this room, especially me, because we often, and I have observed this, that when we have global leaders or any kind of a project happening in India, often workmanship is a question mark from day one when we hit the ground, right? And I'm not saying there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think there is an opportunity that we can do better with workmanship, but we are not that far, right? I think India has come a long way. This industry has come a long way. So how do you all see bridging the gap of skills that are required for the diverse group of people engaged in Fancy, your design space, Jonathan, in your space from planning, consulting, and execution standpoint, and Vinod, from your perspective on not just design during the execution, overseeing, and then management of this kind of assets that are getting built. How do you think you can actually bridge that gap so that we truly, when we are blending global and local standards, things like workmanship, things like the ability to be able to deliver, is not a question in the mind of our stakeholders. is not that big million-dollar question in the mind of our businesses. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, okay. You know, there was a time, long time back, we used to have this problem of, we used to design and think out of this box and come up with some really fantastic stuff. And then we'd be hammered down saying, oh, they can't do it. You know, you have to kind of make sure that it is buildable, maintainable, throw coffee on it, do whatever you want with it, but it's got to be something that's sustainable, maintainable. So I think this industry has seen it all. It's like almost a 30-year industry of a lot of us trying to go through all of these with different kind of people. So I feel there is a maturity now. There is a good understanding of what is being able to be built, you know, but the thing is the training, the brainstorming, the fact that we can sit together and understand what is buildable and what's not, and come to a consensus as to what is possible. So that training is important, and also finding the right contractors to do that job is important, right? And also to make sure that what we're giving out as detail is very buildable. So there are many aspects to it. So, I mean, this is like honestly just one of the things that I think that we need to do.
Jonathan, anything you want to add further?
I'm more of a practical kitty when it comes to things like this.
Okay.
My view is that I'm going to engage the workforce personally. When we opened this big shopping center down the road all those years ago, the remarkable thing is, forgive me for being lavatorial, the housekeeping company we'd employed had never actually cleaned nearly 300 bathroom facilities and stalls and urinals. Forgive me. And their understanding of how to clean a bathroom was, well, you know, we'll spray a bit of water and we'll wash it a little bit. And then they discovered that the head of the business was a South African who was prepared to take his lily white hands and scrub a bathroom. And what I found was an instantaneous change of attitude.
Wow.
That the 100 housekeepers who'd been in that presentation, who were clearly shocked that this guy was going to clean a toilet, he did it with fun and mirth and enjoyment. And if I'm not mistaken, the bathrooms are still being cleaned the same way. The interesting thing is that if you're prepared to lead from the front and do all the dirty tasks, the remarkable thing is that people will follow you. I told you, I'm a practical kitty. It's driven all my clients mad all my career, that I'm the guy who's prepared to actually go and work with the valet, with the hospitality people. Because if you show people what you want and if you explain it to them, you have a wonderful hotel chain here called the Taj Hotel chain. They do this. That's their training mantra. We will show you how we want it done. There's no lack of imagination. It's just that somebody is showing you how to do what the company wants and expects from you. I don't understand the problem. I don't understand why people aren't investing that kind of effort. Because the remarkable thing is in India, you do it once. It's like the work I did in East Africa. You show people once, you do a proper job of the explanation and the engagement. You never have to worry about it ever again. Oh, and by the way, staff attrition falls because people enjoy being in that work environment.
I think leading by example, leading the army from the front. Be the captain of the ship, but at the same time, be a part of the, the crew in the ship as well.
Top-down approach.
Absolutely. And I can relate to it because there was a time when I just picked up project management as one of my assignments, and I remember I had this huge challenge of getting my business and a large lab moving into about 50,000 square feet of space. And we had committed that the network is going to be up and ready tomorrow morning. It was a Saturday morning. And on a Friday, the equipments were getting packed for the move to happen. And we were all expecting the trucks to arrive at about 7:30. And I still remember that evening, there was this general contractor, and you had the IT person who was doing all the connectivity for our network. And he happened to be enjoying himself in one of the IDF rooms. I won't tell you what enjoyment he was doing. I'm sure many of y'all can guess. We're just round the corner for drinks and dinner. But, and I happened to stop by. It was, say, about, I think, 8 o'clock in the evening. I happened to stop by and I asked him in, in the local language, in Hindi, asking him, कि भैया कब तक हो जाएगा? तो कहता है कि मैडम हो जाएगा, बस 2 घंटे में हो जाएगा. So I said, okay. So he wasn't expecting me to show up at 10:30, 11 back at that IDF room to check whether the work is done or not. Assuming I'm a lady, he thought, madam ko ghar bhi sambhalna hai, shayad wapas chali jayengi. And, I think to his horror, I showed up at 11 p.m. and I remember I had a lady project manager with me. Both of us, we've stepped out, we had a quick grub, and we got back at 11 to the site to ask him whether the job is done or not. To my surprise, he was still enjoying, and now there were some snacks as well, okay? So I then again asked him, okay, after this merriment, when are you going to keep this room ready? And he said, अब मैडम सच में 2 घंटे में करके देता हूँ. ठीक है. तो मैंने कहा पक्का हो जाएगा? हाँ हो जाएगा. So I left. He wasn't expecting me to show up at 2 in the morning. Me being me, I showed up at 2 in the morning, and he didn't know where to look. I think that moment he understood that if he doesn't do his job in the next 2 hours, this lady has had it. And I think that was the tipping point. That's when the tables turned. And believe me, at 6 o'clock in the morning, when I returned back to the site, so I went back home at 2, I quickly, showered up, etc. And I got back at 6 in the morning because the trucks were arriving. And my network was up. And this is a real life example. And what I realized that day is one of my biggest learnings. If you stand with your people and you make them understand the context, you explain them how their job is becoming very important and it's very critical for the success of them and for the success of the larger good of the company, I think in India, people stand by. And since then, I have seen it in every experience. Somehow, magically, we get things done overnight. Till about 6:37 in the evening, you'll feel the sky is falling apart. Oh, I have a global leader showing up tomorrow, and my site is not ready. Morning 6 a.m., you have everything ready to, get and receive that global leader. So that's been my experience, and I think culturally we are extremely strong. So if you're able to connect with your people, if you're able to show them that bigger picture, show them the value in the work that they're performing, I think you can turn tables. And that also impacts the workmanship and the output that you would expect from them. Vinod, let's hear it from you.
I have a little different viewpoint here. I don't know. I think, I appreciate what you all said, and it really makes difference when you are leading the ship and you can demonstrate what is expected out of you. And typically, I think we have become better a lot. And to the former question which you really made on the quality and the real final finishes and all, I think we are still very casual as professionals. And I give a very crude example, but before that crude example, I typically say that we still have not evolved as projects where on day 0, where we are handing over the project, we're just 90% okay.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
The balance 5% happens in snag, and the last 5% never happens. Right? And we are okay with that. Yeah. And which is where is a trouble point. Yeah. So the crude example I typically give is, for me, and we are just talking project here as a delivery, is project for me is like childbirth, right? Nobody gives a damn once the baby is born, that how much problem the lady had gone 9 months. So whether it is the pain, the vomiting sensation, all those things. And people forget, and they're so happy that, oh, we delivered the project. And that's it. How, whether the baby is in NICU or nobody's really bothered, right? So I think that's something which we have to really collectively think as professionals, that do we have that high bar to really accept that high standard which we hold ourselves to. Like Jonathan has seen the world, so he can come and teach us. But how many of us have gone through that journey of self-learning or accepting that, oh, I don't know it, let me learn from somebody who's better, that what good standard looks like.
And you know, I can corroborate that. So I happened to visit Amazon in Singapore. And believe me, just looking at the straight line of the services and the precision and the quality with which it was done, unimaginable, right? And when I come back and look at some of my offices, I think just from the Indian context, I agree with you, we have a long way to go.
You come and see our office.
So absolutely, kudos to all of that hard work to drive that first-time quality, which we saw it with our own eyes, and this is, again, a real-life example. You must go and see. It was phenomenal to see how you get it right the first time. No compromise on compliance, safety, design standards, blending of global and local standards. You could see that, you know, at your site in Singapore. Go ahead, Jonathan.
If I may, I've enjoyed this little tete-a-tete because actually it's not my experience at all. So in the last 8 months, we've delivered nearly 23,000 square meters of offices and retail within our existing portfolio. And remember, I'm the practical kitty. So the first thing I do is I set up the scope of works and all the legal stuff. Then what we do is we have a kickstart meeting. Now that in itself here in India is going to cause, I think, some rational problems. What's a kickstart? You know, because everything now is with a key, or you press a button. But I remind all my colleagues in the build team and in the operations team that I'm South African, and although I've never played the game, rugby is an actual team sport because you need all 15 players to collaborate to get that funny odd-shaped ball across the line to score a try. And if there is a failure with one of the 15, then there's a failure with the project. So my message in a very short way is that 23,000 square feet delivered within 1 day before or 1 day after. And to your point, Vinod, in respect to the snag, everything is completed within 5 days. But where I have a major problem is broken promises and vendors. So now I'm going out to meet vendors to say hello, and you will deliver. If you say to me you're delivering on, I don't know, the 27th of a month, you better be sure I'm going to be at your front door on the 24th saying, come, is it ready? And that's the only way to get things delivered.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I'm not disputing that. But we do, I mean, we'd love to hear a little bit more how do you deliver that 3-day, 5-day turnaround time. Because I would agree with Vinod. You know, Cat 1 snags, Cat 2 snags, and Cat 3 are never even addressed. But I think we are getting there. The fact that there is more awareness, the fact that there is today more exposure in terms of what the world is doing, I think we have started to raise the bar. And then we have, you know, architects, consultants, you know, just looking at the kind of products that were presented earlier in the evening today. All of that is raising the bar of the quality at which we are able to get our products, the quality at which we are able to get our materials. Now, of course, there is a lot of room to do better in execution, but I'm sure with all of us in this room, we will get there. So I see a screen showing up, time's up. We had lots more to cover, Rashmi, but can I open the house for some questions? Okay. So any questions? Yeah, please go ahead. Do call out your name so that we know whom we are speaking with. Can we have a mic?
Hello, this is Vijay from Accenture. I'm just going to keep to the topic. Global standards and local realities. As much as the architects believe in concepts and engineers in inception, where project management and all such things come, I started my career after a glorious third generation of engineering contracting family. We are not Tatas or Birlas. My career started in New York with US Army Corps of Engineers. And the only interview I had to do was meet an old man, Greek he was. And he had read my resume, but he said, these are the people who built Taj Mahal. Let's take him. This happened 35 years ago. I stayed with US Army Corps of Engineers, built $2 billion worth of work for America, what a contractor's son, another contractor can do. As our friend from Punjab had come, long before him, there was one Panesar. He was the chief architect of India who was sent to Bangalore, and everybody were scared to do his project. And my father did $2 billion of work here in Bangalore under Panesar sir. What I'm trying to tell is, everybody throws the blame on the contractor. Now I have built aeroplane and I put restaurants in it. What does the customer want? In Bangalore, they want to eat in a beautiful restaurant where ambiance is there. And all my friends are in the restaurant I have built, and I am here in front of you. The last project I did in Houston, Texas was the biggest sports stadium for... No, the question is, nobody knows who I am. I've been here 14 years, and every interview is a start afresh. Everything I need to build something out of their mind, concepts. And now I have to bring it into inception. And Sarala Aviation brought my concept, which is Shunya eVTOL. Thank you very much.
So thank you for taking the courage to be the first person to speak up. But I'm sure everybody knows you now. Yeah, but I'm sure the audience would like to interact with you a lot, because US Army Corps of Engineers is a very, very difficult organization, and American standards at a different level. But good to hear from you, sir. Thank you for sharing your story. Any other questions from the audience?
Girish,
Yes, go ahead, Girish.
basically a small-time contractor. I have two serious questions. I mean to say very two serious questions. First question is, how are we going to bring water? How are we going to bring energy by 2040 or 2050? And in fact, the lifeline for Bangalore or Karnataka is only the river Kaveri, number one. Number two question is, basically, I'm a farmer too. In fact, Boeing has got a beautiful campus. Amazon has got a beautiful campus. When are you going to get goats or sheep into a campus to graze green grass? That's how we can build both sustainability together. In fact, Google is done in US. I saw in some LinkedIn ads. Yeah, you bring goats, you bring sheep to your campus so that the goat waste gets into the earth and becomes sustainable. So these are the two things which I would like to hear from you. First is water. How are you going to bring by 2040 or 2050? How are you going to bring energy? This is very, very, very required. And the second thing is how best, now farmers are struggling very hard to get that green grass. Suppose if there is a collaboration between the global standard and the local farmers, that's the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Girish, for your question. Vinod, do you want to take a stab at it first?
I think from the water side, I think what we are really doing, and one of the big projects which we have done in Hyderabad, which is our own campus, which also gives us a lot of flexibility to do things the way we want to do. We have become 100% non-discharge. 100% when I mean 100%. There's no water which is discharged out of our campus. We use 100%. Even the STP waste, we evaporate the STP waste and we generate almost 150,000 liters out of that, which is used in chillers. It's a big project, and probably it's the only one, only corporate which does in Hyderabad. I can't speak of Bangalore. So there are initiatives which are in control. We do it. We are also on the sustainability part. We are heavily onto green power and clean power. Globally, we are also buying these credits where we cannot host the on-site, on-prem green power solutions. So there are efforts which are on the right path, whether it's 100% or not. It's still work in progress. But I think as community, we have to do a lot rather than just the corporate level. I probably cannot respond to the goats on the campus. I would first let pets at campus. We have our US campuses, we have dogs at work, but yeah, in this part of the world, it's quite challenging.
So I'll stay with the goats first, okay, and then come to sustainability. So yeah, I think we have a long way to go. Probably we are just exploring the, the other side of the world. Fishes, ducks, geezers, I think these have become very common in our workspaces today. I can definitely talk about dogs. So while the construction was on, we have close to 10 dogs who've made our campus their home. And believe they find these unique spaces where they go and rest and take shelter. They don't harm my employees, but they do take shelter. And sometimes you feel very jealous when they're basking out there in the sun in the amphitheater and you're looking at 2 screens doing some meetings. You feel very jealous of the dogs, right? But I think we're getting there because we recognize that the balance in the ecosystem is really required. Can we allow pets in the workspace? Can we go to the extent of doing goats, cows, buffaloes? I think that's what we'll have to explore as we move on. I would just say there is hope and people are thinking, right? And we all sitting in this room really need to think differently outside of the box. On sustainability, to the likes of what he said, I want to give compliments to my government. And the reason I say is, an Amazon or a Boeing is a zero liquid discharge facility, not because just Boeing and Amazon wanted to be sustainable. The government has started to look at this with a very, very serious lens. I think we are far away from Europe, but we are not behind, right? And when I look at it from that perspective, a lot of the way the regulations, the way the codes are changing and evolving, the way you get your approvals, they are pushing the development community to start looking at all of this with a very serious lens. So first, I want to thank my government, right, that they are pushing us to start doing and embracing the right things. It costs more, there is a schedule that we need to follow, but we will do the right things. So we are also a zero liquid discharge campus. Our waste diversion ratio is 95% today, right? So we don't send out any waste and we don't litter our environment. And on top of it, if I look at it, renewable energy. So we are a young campus and we will be 100% renewable energy in just about another 6 months' time for that large asset that we've built. And we are a little mixed bag with leased spaces and owned facilities. So we have very little to do in that. Of course, we work with our landlords with green leases to see how we can bring in renewable energy and more sustainability KPIs in the way we are doing our leasing. So that's absolutely the charter. And is that only with companies like Amazon and Boeing? I think every single company, small or big, local or global, they are all thinking in this direction. But it is going to take time. And I'm a very positive person. I'm very hopeful that we will be able to get to our sustainability targets as the government anticipates it, maybe by 2070, if I'm not mistaken. 2040, thanks. So, yeah, and about the goats, we will chat for dinner, right? Thank you for your question. Yeah, I think it's time for us to wrap up, and I'm hoping that this conversation made sense to each one of you. Like I said, I see a whole lot of curious learners in this room. But I think a few takeaways in my mind from the conversation and from the leaders that I heard today. So first, I think the barriers between global and local are getting blurred, right? There are large Indian companies that are going global and vice versa, global companies that are setting up shops across the world. We've seen a recent change in the Southeast Asian market with most of the global companies. So the lines are blurring, and if you have been able to set the context, you understand the strategic intent behind some of those global standards, it'll be a lot more easier for you to embrace that change, and at the end also ensure that your stakeholders embrace that change. Last but not the least, empower your teams. That's what the game changer is. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are end of this conversation. But I'm sure we're going to be here around later in the evening. Feel free to chat up, and if there are any thoughts crossing your mind, happy to do that deliberation and brainstorming off stage. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, Rashmi. We enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Ritu. A huge round of applause. I could just see the passion with which he drove the entire conversation, and such a brilliant way to have lit up that particular topic. I'm going to quickly call on stage Saurabh Agarwal, who is the Vice President for Commercial Spaces at Welspun Flooring, to give you a small token of appreciation, Ritu, and the panel. It was such a brilliant thing that you guys brought up and you shared with us. These little gifts were actually given by our landscape partners called Gamla Bioscapes. So it's just rather than doing the typical plaques, we thought we'll give something to green your office. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for your presence here. Thank you so much, Ritu. Once again, a huge round of claps, ladies. For the first panel, it was so amazing to hear the topics and the discussions that they had. Thank you so much. Of the day, we have Abhishek Gupta, who is the business head at Atlas Concorde by MCI, and Mattia Ferrari, who is the sales manager at Atlas Concorde Dubai. I'm going to quickly invite both the gentlemen on stage to give us a quick run through what their company is all about.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present Marble Center, Atlas Concorde by Marble Center. I'm looking for a vertical head for Atlas Concorde in India market. Marble Center is an expertise in natural stone business from 35 plus years, and we want to bring a world best quality for the India market for our customers. It's into pioneer in the marble industry, and we want to add a portfolio of porcelain ceramic surfaces also. So we have added Atlas Concorde for India market. So we want to give the best of the superior quality to our customers. We are the largest stockist for finally finished imported slabs, 20 mm thickness, and we have calibrated slabs. Unique and curated collection. And we are into added Atlas Concorde to our customers for large size business. So Atlas Concorde, I'll hand over to Mattia Ferrari. Atlas Concorde we have started, we have large size slab from 6 mm to 20 mm thickness, which is being used for indoor, outdoor, as well as for multiple projects, commercial, hospitality, and residential projects.
Good evening, everybody. So first of all, thank you for having us here. And as introduced by Abhishek, Marble Center is our official partner in the Indian market, whose values and mission align perfectly with Atlas Concorde personality, as their goal is to bring to the market the best products in terms of quality, with the goal of providing the best service and customer experience with a long-term vision, full commitment, and reliability in everything they do, like us. So today I will introduce you more about Atlas Concorde. So Atlas Concorde is the biggest Italian manufacturer of porcelain tiles and slabs with 100% made in Italy products, with more than half century of history that began in 1969. Our goal is to bring the Italian design all around the world, characterized by elegance and refinement. So over the years, we have been able to grow and expand a lot in terms of product portfolio, but also internationally, and thanks to the values that characterize us. And we have been able now to be present in 130 countries with more than 4,000 customers, different production facilities, 7 monobrand showrooms in the biggest design capital, with a production capability that now reaches 20.5 million square meters per year, meaning that we are the perfect partner for any kind of project, from large-scale one to medium and small size of any kind, residential, hospitality, and so on. So our passion for ceramics over the years has allowed us to develop a very specialized know-how with a constant research for new design, which over the past has been gained value among all designers and architects all around the world. Why? Because we offer a range like nobody, in particular a product ecosystem characterized by porcelain tiles, wall tiles, large slabs, available in all possible looks, very realistic, marble, stone, wood, metal, concrete, in more than 6 finishes, more than 30 sizes, 3 thicknesses, and over the years, since we invest a lot in research and development and product innovation, to give you an idea, we invest more than 10% of our turnover annually in it. We have developed our own technologies, patented internationally, that are characterizing our product, such as Sensitech, whose technology allows our products to be very easy to clean, very soft, antibacterial. Plus, what characterizes us is the highest technical feature of our material, and making our material exceeding the international standards required, with products that are waterproof, resistant to chemicals, with no maintenance basically required, and resistant to light and stains, and many other characteristics. So we have also developed a concept of Mundi, in particular the Marvel World and the Boost World. So the Marvel World represents our assortment of marble look collections and designs, who counts more than 68 marble looks, from the classic calacatta to the most exotic colors, which express absolute realism due to the deep research and development that we do in order to arrive on the market with the best product that can match the natural stone of any kind. Then we have our Boost World, which represents the assortment of our concrete and stone looks in a deep variety of limestone, quartzite, anthracite, microcement, industrial concrete, and very colorful designs. All these product ecosystem and this Mundi allows our products to be suitable for indoor flooring and outdoor flooring, but also indoor walls with plain and three-dimensional designs, as well as facades, outdoor facades. The key feature is that our designs are available in all the colors are basically available in different finishes and thicknesses, giving the possibility to have continuity and matchability between the indoor space and the outdoor space. So smoothness in every environment, if required. Then we have also our brand for countertops, so big slabs used to fabricate that can be used to do kitchen countertops and many elements of design of any kind that can match the indoor flooring and walls as well. And large sizes of any kind, available in a deep variety of thicknesses, 6, 12, and 20 mm, with a technology called natural vein as well, in which you have the vein that goes through the body, which not everyone in the market is capable to arrive with. So to conclude, the design is in our DNA, as we work for designers and architects, and to do so, we do it with designers. As a matter of fact, we have developed different collections and designs with Piero Lissoni, Matteo Brioni, Zadid, HBA, and many others. So this is what Atlas Concorde is: quality, reliability, durability, and design. And this, of course, we take care a lot about the environment, as we have the main important and many company and product certifications for a green system. And these features allowed us to be chosen as partners in many international projects of any kind, from residential, the extension of Chinatown in the Dubai Mall, but also commercial, resorts in Maldives, many hotels worldwide, for indoor and also outdoor in many cases, and many, many others. So this is all Atlas Concorde is as an introduction. If you would like to know more, visit our experience center at Marble Center International in Bangalore. And thank you very much for your attention.
So we have a 4,000 square feet display center in Marble Center, Jigni area. And we have a stockyard also. We love to have you all people there in Marble Center, Experience Center for Atlas Concorde. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ferrari, and thank you so much, Abhishek, for beautifully showing us how stone can be, I don't know, sculpted and applied in different spaces. With this, I'm gonna move on to our second panel discussion of the day, which is titled Aligning Workplace Design with Operations and Principle of Circular Economy. Mind you, this is not just about designing the workspace or even about operations. We are talking about circular economy, where you talk about how materials are literally taken until their grave, the entire life cycle of that space. So we have this brilliant session coming up, and moderating this session is Mr. Ashish Puri, who is the National Director for Interior Design Services at Colliers India. And joining him are speakers, Mr. Jaljit Singh, who is the industry expert in workplace operations and infrastructure. Along with them is Rama Krishnamachari, who is the director for DEOC Accessibility Services Private Limited. And also joining them is architect Sahana Raghunath, who is the design head for Space Matrix. And finally is Saurabh Agarwal, who is the vice president for commercial spaces at Welspun Flooring. Calling each of my speakers and the moderator on stage to take up and lead this discussion with us. Thank you. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for each of the speakers here. They've taken their time out and sharing their brilliant insights and thoughts with us.
Thank you, ITP Media Commercial Design, for organizing this event. I have the expert panel here, and we're going to discuss about the aligning workplace design with the operational and the principles of circular economy. When we talk about circular economy, right, one thing which, sort of what it rather marks is a shift from the conventional approach. Now, when we talk about conventional approach, it's, of course, it's make, consume, and dispose, right? And we talk about circular economy, we talk about remake, reuse, and reduce. So this is where the fundamental shift is. And in today's world, than before, it's fundamental. It's one of the most pressing things is to sort of how do you incorporate the principles of circular economy in whatever we do, in all aspects of it. We've witnessed the harmful impact of, or the negative impacts of the conventional approach. Our cities are devoid of clean water, our cities are devoid of clean air, as well as clean energy. We'll spend next half an hour probably, or 40 minutes with all of you, and we'll look at the ways that as designers, as consultants, and as manufacturers, what are the ways we can sort of design around this so that, we have a better future tomorrow. The world becomes a healthier place. Our panel of experts, we have industry leaders from the design, from the manufacturing, as well as from the operational background. So it's a fully balanced panel what we have over here. And to start with, we'll start with the designers on the panel. So Sahana, we're going to start with you first, ladies first. So Sana, how do we embed, we talk about the circular economy, so how do we embed the principles of circular economy in design, through design? And I'm sure you're doing many projects where everybody does talk about sustainability, giving it back, carbon neutrality. So first thing first, what are those key things to begin with?
Hi Ashish, thanks for the question. Very interesting, and thanks for giving the opportunity to start off this discussion. The principles of circular economy or circular design is just so vast, and the umbrella is so big that whatever one does is not very apparent immediately, and whatever one designs or thinks or brings things into tangible sense has an effect or an impact much later into the game of world, or in this scheme of things. The idea of it is, of course, revitalize, maximize, and optimize. I think these are the three main things that does come into the picture. We are already at something called the Anthropocene epoch. That means that we are a tad too late to be calling it calling sustainability or the idea of circular economy as a fad and as something new that we need to bring it. There's been a lot of talk about it right from a very long time, but in the industry, right from the 70s at least, where things have become a little more tangible, people are talking about it, but we still find words like fad and things like sustainability is just something new that you want to do. It's not anymore. It's the need of the hour. It was the need of the hour like about 10 years ago, and then if we still are not doing it and we're just talking about it, we are tad too late. So not to sound too end of the world-ish, but I think in design what is very important is concepts are great. Designers just let their imagination run free. But when it moves on from there to the point of where and how is this going to get built or get a physical form, it's very important as to what goes in, right?
Absolutely.
So from the industry, I think it's very important as to how we spec anything. What are the materials that we can use? Creativity just doesn't stop at the concept level, but there is a whole lot of creativity that one can bring in into thinking about how different systems work. Can we move away from the traditional systems? I mean, does it just have to be a gypsum wall?
Absolutely.
Can we rethink about how partitions are?
Yeah.
Can we rethink about certain materials that goes in? Can we look into materials with a little more biogenic content?
Right.
So these decisions are very important, and I think they...
So just a follow-up question on that, and I agree to the points you made. So any example where you used sustainability, and it's not about just changing the material palette, like we said, yes, workplaces are beyond aesthetics, but how did that, and any example or case study where the entire workplace evolved, when you got in the sustainability into things?
Actually, it's a slight digression from what you're saying. The beauty of circular economy or the bare fact of it is that the effect is not only for the people who are in these workplaces, right? The effect of whatever you're doing as an architect or an interior designer affects a whole lot of people in the whole economy. And I think that's the beauty of it, that probably the linear way of working and the linear way of production didn't really take it into concern. And I would like to just bring about one of the initiatives that we had. Of course, I'm going to talk about the brass tacks of it and not really much about design. There is, at the organization that I'm currently in, there is an initiative called The Resource, where we have partnered with PCB authorized vendors to ensure that sorting happens at site, because waste is a huge part of how we deal with it. And so we make sure that there is sorting that's happening at site. There, as a D&B firm, there's a lot of waste that we do see at site, and it gets sorted at site, and we weigh it, so we see the numbers over there as to what does it mean. And it gets transported from, of course, our site to authorized landfills, or it can be into authorized recycling things. And not everything is very good about this. Not everything is very smooth. We have issues of policies.
Yeah.
We have issues.
It's work in progress.
Yeah, it is work in progress, but it has been a very good learning experience. At the end of it, what we have done shows very well to companies, to our clients. They've been very happy with the progress. They have been very happy with how it has been handled. And it also forms like a data point to go into their ESG reports. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that response. Yeah. So Ram, I'm going to come to you next. Yeah, ladies, I'm going by the golden rule of ladies first. So the guys will get to wait. So this is a little bit different, on the perspective of inclusivity, So because that's again something which we've seen in probably a decade or so, that when you create workplaces, how do you include everybody, right? So in your experience, how does this sort of gel with creating sustainable designs or the circular designs? So how do you look at both, and and rather how do you marry them both together?
Yeah. So inclusion is a kind of a core principle of circular design. You may build a building. If it is not accessible, then definitely it is not sustainable.
Right.
And more importantly, it's unjust. I think it's not just circular design is not just about materials and energy, but also the people who use them, and not just use but feel to belong to that particular place, and that is inclusion. So I think it's quite integrated. But yes, it's very important. A lot of times what we see is that when something is not thought of at the design stage, it becomes a kind of an afterthought. And also I feel when you build something inclusive, it's like a long term. There is also, in the disability sector, we say that everyone is like temporarily, have able-bodied in that sense. So today also the number of people who are the senior citizens, it's a huge population, people with disabilities, people with medical condition. In fact, everyone requires space that is inclusive. So when you build something which is inclusive, it is sustainable because it is that long-term focus. You don't have to retrofit in the latest
for the diverse needs.
Yes. So I think that, and interestingly today, where I see we are working with a lot of companies now, which are now very focused on inclusion, and it's an evolving space as well, and we are working with Welspun, dormakaba, so many other organizations now who are actually looking at how accessibility can be embedded very aesthetically, beautifully, and in a manner which is inclusive for all.
So that's good to hear that things are changing, whether it's manufacturers or it's the users, companies, organizations.
It's a huge, people with disabilities are now in, like, many companies have large number of people with disabilities, like we spoke about Amazon and many other organizations have people with disabilities. We're also asking for accessibility, inclusion, more importantly, in the workspaces.
Thank you so much. Jaljit, I'm going to come to you next, and you having background on the operations side of it. We heard the designers, we've heard the engineers. Now, from the operational perspective, so which are these practices which align naturally, right, with the principles of circular design or the circular economy we call it? So, do you see any conflict, or because architects or designers might propose a material which is renewable or whatever, and a lot of times we also sort of interface, and then clients say that, you know, it might be sustainable, but it's a little difficult for me to maintain. So how do you navigate through that conflict, if that happens?
Thanks, Ashish, and for that questions. I think a couple of points what I want to make out here is, like, when you are making about what exactly is a circular economy or a design, you made a very important point, like, it's still reverberate in my mind. You said about, you take it, make it, and subsequently dispose it.
Dispose it.
That's the core of your circular design or the process what you're trying to highlight. Now, when you speak about the conflict or the challenges, a couple of points what I want to highlight from the design perspective. I'll mostly speak from the operational standpoint. Now, we as, like, when you speak about a culture, this, like, I like to slightly defer to some of the point. We as a culture has always been sustainable way far back. The way how we construct a house, the way our culture is. My grandmother has been very, very sensible in terms of understanding the life cycle of any product, what is going to be usability. So from that perspective, I'll make a few comments. Like, it is like post-liberalization, things have become easily accessible and we have taken things for granted. Now it has become a need of ours. Without sustainability, we cannot survive. And even from the business standpoint, it has become imperative to make your business more efficient. So a couple of points what I'll call out here is, one is from your asset life cycle understanding. That culture has to be kicked in itself. When you're deploying any resource in your workspace asset, one need to understand the usability, how we can track it, and subsequently how we can dispose it. This is again coming to your point, how we can refurbish, how we can repurpose. So any product we are taking it has to be incorporated in that. Now, second thing what I will again touch upon is from the waste management perspective. Most of our design, we tend to ignore it. A classic example, I have been involved in one of the largest campus here. One of the challenge was designing the waste management at the source itself, be it from your STP, your water, your waste electronic segregation, which has become a part of the process. The concept here is we just dispose it. So here it has to be inbuilt in the design stage itself. Now somebody spoke about zero liquid discharge. When you go further down from operational standpoint, it does emit a lot of toxic waste. And that cannot be kept in a very open environment where it is not conducive. So you have to make sure it is not just in principle, like the previous panel, they were talking about that point. That's why I want to re-emphasize. So you have to make sure it is eco-friendly. It is about the impact on the environment is not there. So that's something, I like to highlight. Your design itself has to incorporate, it is facilitating those segregation at the source itself. Otherwise, even your hospitality, you check, every office will have a cafeteria. Are they incorporating your plastic segregations, your food waste segregation, your solid waste segregation, even your electronic, at the source itself. So that's something, the design team has to think at the initial stage itself. Now, another few point what I'll call out is bringing efficiency or optimization in terms of your space and your energy. That actually helps significantly. So when I say in energy, in the sense like you have a huge office, nobody is occupying that office, but your light, your HVAC system are completely functional. So from operational standpoint, how I can bring efficiency from that perspective is like relying more on your sensor, relying to a system which adapt automatically based on the occupancy. So these are the technology where we have to rely on. Now, in terms of the conflict, there will always be a conflict when you're trying to, switch or towards your, circular system, especially, budget is the biggest problem. So when we get into this circular design, people do feel like my panelist was mentioning about, it's a long-term or strategy objective. People are always short-sighted. They're thinking about the long, short-term upfront cost involved in that.
Cost involved.
So your finance team, your procurement team has to, or even your leadership has to understand, this, the long-term vision, strategy, and the goal. This is again, something.
We'll get someone from procurement on the panel next time. We'll have the question answer right
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
then.
Because they are only looking from the budget standpoint.
That's the immediate. So we want immediate results.
Correct.
I want to save money today.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens 5 years down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, one last point what I'll touch upon is your culture, behavior of your employee. A classic example I'll tell you is not just from product standpoint. I'll talk about there is a culture of, someone was mentioning about 1 lakh plastic can be generated into carpet and all. But even your waste disposal cup, a simple thing, why can't everyone get their own bottle? That culture has to kick in.
Absolutely.
Until unless everyone has to be, it is not about the architect or the operational, you design something and it's into it. There has to be involvement of the user, there has to be involvement of the, I would say, the stakeholder. At every stage they have to understand and contribute to sustainability.
Absolutely agree with you. All of us just had a master class in how do you actually become sustainable, and it's through habits.
Yes.
These small things which actually make a difference. I'm going to come to you, Saurabh, next. As manufacturer, as responsible manufacturers. So what's your take on the whole circularity and how we as the design community or from the operations, how we can create that ecosystem so that it's growing, it multiplies. Because we've been talking about sustainability, but we don't see it gaining so, it's there, everybody wants to be sustainable. They want to, they want certifications, ratings, whatever, but so what's your take as a manufacturer?
Sure.
And it's more like a collaboration, right? So how do you sort of...
Thanks, Ashish. Very interesting part, I think my co-panelists, Jaljit and Sahana covered it. I think first and foremost thing is, let it not become a buzzword. Let it become a harsh reality that the organization needs it, the society needs it, and all our future generation need it. It's no more a simple buzzword.
Yep.
Now, when you mentioned about the manufacturing aspect of it, I would say that there are three different, people in the system. One is a manufacturer. Second is a designer. I think we have wonderful designers with us. And the third one is the end customer, the user, the consumer. All three will have to understand their responsibility of how to do it, why to do it. Once everybody is able to understand it, then we can definitely take it to the next level. So coming back to the manufacturers, during my presentation, I covered a very small thing about the carpets being made from plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles. Yeah.
Now, it may sound simple, but I'll just like to tell, it doesn't form more than 2 or 3% of my sales. We don't earn any margin in that. And we would have invested at least 2 years in doing the research and development and everything for making that product. But why? Because as an organization, I think it's duty of all the large organizations who can afford to do it. They have to invest in R&D. They have to work towards that so that they are able to create the products which can work on this circular economy, right? The path is difficult. It's not an easy to create a product. See, while as a manufacturer, it's very easy for any manufacturing company to make a product from the fresh raw material. But if you want to really use a product which is, say, sustainable and which is actually a circular, as a part of the circular economy, then it is difficult. You have to invest a lot in terms of R&D to make that quality. So as a manufacturer, all of us will have to come forward to start designing or manufacturing the products like it. But then the equal onus is on the designers or the creators to start using it in their projects. The result initially may not be as good as the original, but then we have to understand that it is the need of the hour. And then lastly, the users, I think they will have to understand that when we are creating such large campuses, when we are creating so many things, more and more we work towards creating an ecosystem where such products are being used, then only I think we will be in a position to move ahead in this cycle. And then we'll be able to create a real good circular economy in terms of the product being used in all the campuses, in all the offices, whatever we do. Just to give an example, I was talking about that carpet tile, plastic and all. Just I'll share you one small statistics, and I'm sure each one of you will be surprised to know. The amount of the plastic bottle which we generate across the globe in a year, if I just crush each and every single bottle, it'll get converted into what? Half a spoonful of powder. And if you make a heap out of it, the height is more than Burj Khalifa. So actually, the type of the bottles which the world is generating, we are creating at least 10 to 12 Burj Khalifas every year. And believe me, nobody knows what is the cycle, what is the life, maybe 800 years, 1,000 years, God knows.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? I think each and every company will have to start thinking how we can use these products and how we can really imbibe on the theory of circular economy in each and every possible product. Otherwise, I think it will become very difficult for us to survive.
Absolutely, I think to the point, absolutely. So apart from carpets, yeah, a follow-up question. Apart from carpets, because you've been extensively talking about, you love carpets. But apart from carpets, what is the other material or system, which you are incorporating to promote circularity?
No, so apart from the, carpet, there can be many materials.
Or even, it could be just a system which, say, something a process which you're incorporating and, could pave way for many others who can also follow. You have one of the largest manufacturing plants, commercial carpet manufacturing plants in the world. So I'm sure there's something to learn for all of us here.
Definitely. I mean, we are doing a lot of processes. I think the time is little less to explain more about it. Yeah. But as I think the previous panel was talking about, as a plant, we have a 600-acre manufacturing setup. It's a zero waste plant, certified zero waste plant. So definitely there are so many things where you have to talk about sustainability, circularity, lot of material, lot of things which have to go
multiple layers.
There are multiple layers. I think it's a long discussion which
absolutely
we definitely do.
So Sana, I'll come to you next as the designer. So when we talk about the circular design, it often starts with the idea that whatever we're building today could be either taken away or could be reused. Right? That's the whole idea that whatever you're designing. So how is this in sync with sort of the whole idea of promoting circularity, and to what extent you're actually able to achieve it? Like reducing. I'm focusing on how do you eventually reduce. We all want to, of course, incorporate new things, buy new material every time, but how do you actually reduce it?
See, what we are doing is actually still work in progress. So it's not like we've achieved some magic wand by which we can reduce, reduce growth, or we can reduce consumption, or we can reduce overall wastage. No, it's not. We still don't have it, and I don't think we can ever get to a point of having a magic wand like that. Yeah. The point of that is because the thought process of circular design or the metrics of circular design has actually started from the original or the traditional way of take, make, and dispose. So even if you're doing something like quantifying your overall carbon dioxide potential, or you're talking about reducing your overall wastages, whether it is in glass, whether it is in gypsum, or it is in carpet, or it is in anything. There are certain processes which are okay to take back the same material back into the process of manufacturing, and then it works. In many places, most of the wastages actually go into landfill. So it's a very difficult thing. If you ask me, I don't know. I hope to know how to make this better. But I think having a clear conscience in trying to do something where waste is less, and if design can be that effective to the end user, and if it can be durable enough so that it can take the wear and tear and things like that. So I think that's just the thing. I don't really have an answer to what you were asking, to be honest.
No, I think fair enough. So Jaljit, coming to you from the operations point of view, Now, this, we talk about bringing flexibility into the design. So what do you think is, the role of the flexibility, which then blends, the circularity in design? So, how does flexibility and circularity, how they in sync with each other?
I think flexibility is a core or transformative part of a design, not just from circular, design perspective, but also as a part of sustainability is what I like to call out. The reason why I'm saying here is, in today's environment, the churning process of any assets, your workspace asset, is become quite significant. So if one has to invest in any workspace asset, be it in your furniture, be it in your electronic systems, or any workspace design, there has to be some sort of adaptability and flexibility. Otherwise, it will always lead to a significant restack or refurbishment, or even adding a significant cost from the operational standpoint. A classic example I'll tell you, there would be requirement for a space to be more flexible, where people can use the space based on the requirement, based on the change of the company strategy. Now, if you have not adopted a flexi wall kind of a stuff, if you have become because I have been involved in a company where a space churning or requirement has been quite significant. In every year, office churning has to happen, at least restack happens twice in a year, because of the capacity, because of the footprint requirement, because of the change in the office team, and we have a compliance wall coming in and all. So in such environment, if you have not adopted flexi wall where you can change those setup easily, it's again one of the biggest setbacks. So what I'm trying to call out here is, it's not just from a commercial standpoint, but also from how quickly you can adapt to a business is something very, very essential. Even from what I would call is your furniture. Some of the furniture, how you can, you have to think from how you can enhance it, how you can dispose it. Those are the factors I'll kind of highlight.
Repurposing as much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even today's environment, sometime, especially during the COVID time, we got a huge space. Again, people are asking to come to office where you're fighting for a space. If you're not, again, flexible, people are still confused. When people, even Amazon was there, I read in the newspaper, where everyone was forced to come to office. They didn't have a ability to meet the requirement. So here again, hybrid model, hot desking capacity. So these are some means where it will enhance your efficiency in terms of how you use your space. It's something, I'll just lightly touch upon, because this is something, we deal on day-to-day basis.
Thank you for that response. Ramat, I'll come to you. I know the time's up. So, since we're talking about creating inclusive spaces, and there is a specific question, and I want to ask you that. So for example, you're creating or you're designing spaces for someone who's visually impaired. Now, apart from your tactiles, what else? How do you sort of make a space welcoming for them? It's a specific question.
No, it's a very good question, and it is a long answer. I'll see how much, and of course, see, it's a user core. And also when it comes to people with vision disability, there's a wide range. Somebody may be able to see a bigger font size, to somebody who may be able to see a good color contrast, somebody who may have tunnel vision to peripheral vision, to somebody who may not see at all. And what is important here is that to great extent you should follow the standards. Today, you don't have to worry about, I would say about 80% is covered in the standards today that we have, which is the harmonized guidelines and the National Building Code as well. And that is something that we fought for it and we got it.
Great.
And yes, from the gate, how does a person find their way to the office, whether it is through that or the lifts having certain, lot of times I feel very piecemeal
kind of an effort. For example, there will be a voice announcement, but then there will not be a tactile. Sometimes you understand Braille is what all visually impaired people know, but if you're a late blind, you don't know how to read a Braille. How do you give tactile cues? Tactile is not just about, you know, those tactile tiles, but there are a lot of tactile cues that you can incorporate within, not just tactile, but there is also, you know, water, smell. A lot of those cues are also helps in navigation, landmarks, helping navigation, consistency, you know. Many times you feel that, how does a tap operate? You know, different places. You go to a hotel, you're struggling, you know, which side is this? There is no consistency in the way things are designed. So consistency in design, intuitive design plays a whole lot. And each of these spaces, from, again, touchscreen. Touchscreen has become an in thing, whether it is a coffee machine, all you know, machines now, even lifts sometimes, they're all touchscreen. That is completely inaccessible for someone with, so I'm very passionate, I'll go on and on. So all of these, today actually the question you said procurement and all of them have to ask this question, is our product, is our service accessible to people with different disabilities, to all? And have involved people with disabilities, users, experts in, you know, you can't just say, I closed my eyes and did something. That doesn't really work.
Thank you so much. That was a very wonderful, passionate answer from your side. We could definitely go on. It's a very long subject, but I know time's up. So thank you for your insights. We touched upon, you know, from circular design to circular economy, operations, as well as how do you create spaces for all. So thanks for the insights. Any questions from the audience before we wind this session? I think we have hands going up. Yeah, just one.
I'll not take much of time. So hi, this is Akshay. I'm from Accenture. So a basic question. I know we are all struggling for the workplace design, wherein we are trying to make it circular economy and all those things. How many of the employees, or are we taking any efforts for the employees to get into that? Because that's a very large workforce, and we doing our design bit is fine, but then are we really translating it into the people who are working there, who are knowing, can they carry a bottle of water, or can they at least carry an empty bottle? How much space does it take in their bags, right? So is there any effort taken from the industries wherein we have the, whether be it the government or be it the COEs, whoever it is, has there been any efforts taken to drill it down to the grassroots level, rather than just talking about the circular economies in the designs and things like that? I know it's a little off topic, but then I feel that's the real need of the hour, rather than just talking about the designs.
Anybody wants to go? Yeah?
Akshaya, right? Yeah, good question, though eventually you got to the question that you're asking for. The push is there from at the policy level and from the government bodies as well. We, of course, Rama would probably elaborate on what is happening at an inclusive design aspect, but when we're talking about bringing in things into the economy and into the, and not just in design and not just at the design board, there are a lot of metrics that is coming in. There are a lot of metrics which is openly available as well, though it is still work in progress. There is also an ISO thing which is in work in progress, which is coming in to actually quantify the circularity index is what we're talking about. Of course, there's a whole lot of work that is required in India right now. We still don't have something for disassembly, which will really help in anything that is being built as already a step given to disassemble and then to reuse it or goes to a proper landfill. But all of this is work in progress. And in spite of me sounding very end of the world, I am very hopeful that there's quite a bit of work that's happening in this. There is a push, and I'm sure, and I've also been privy to a lot of entrepreneurs who are coming up with interesting technologies to address this so that it becomes more democratic. I think there is still a lot of work to be done, but we're there.
Work in progress. Thank you so much for all of you for the insightful session, sharing your knowledge. And we conclude the session with the hope that world adopts sustainability, not just for the certifications, but to create a better life. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ashish. I know I put you in a tough spot with putting in timer on you, but honestly, we were running late and I just didn't want even the second panel to tweet. But that was such a brilliant, this right from Rama's questions to, I mean, that is something very difficult what she does. That is so, and Mr. Jaljit Singh with his experience and where he came from, and it was so passionate that just came across with the entire panel. Thank you so much, Ashish, for that. I'm going to quickly call on stage Mr. Somnath Chaudhary, who is the head for office verticals and the national key accounts with dormakaba India, to give our panel members a small token of appreciation from our end and a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for each of them. Somnath has worked with each of, in touch with each of you actually. So thank you so much for taking your time out and putting your thoughts together. Just one small group picture. In the meantime, what I'll do is I will introduce our third panel discussion and the last panel discussion of the day. And I would not kid if I told I've kept the best for the last 2 years, because this panel has an amalgamation of companies and heads like Infosys. Some of the biggest PMCs are on this, be it JLL, be it your Westian. We also have some brilliant architects on this panel. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again. We also have design and build firms who are making such brilliant design workplace strategies like Unispace. So I'm going to quickly call on stage the moderator of this panel, Surbhi Kunj, who is the Senior Director for Workplace and Design at JLL. We have Mr. Shyam Sundar, who is the Regional Head for Infrastructure at Infosys. Joining them is Meenakshi Sharma, who is the Senior Vice President for Design Services at Welspun. And we also have architect Karthik Ganapati, who is the Associate Director at RSP Design Consultants. We also have Srinath Vinay, who is the Principal Architect and the co-founder for Architecture Dialogue. And finally joining them is Sid Majumdar, who is the Principal Strategy for Unispace. I'm going to quickly hand this over to the moderator and the director of this panel.
And keeping this energy levels high, I hope we will keep that energy level for the crowd who's probably getting very ready for the dinner. I take care of the consulting services practice for JLL. Very passionate about workplace strategy, design, and people experiences of lately has been my heavy domain, working across global clients, 25 years in the industry. So these topics are of very good relevance, especially in India, but I wanted to just take a minute and a pause before we get to our lovely panelists here. On all the sessions we had earlier, I think there were a lot of great insights, starting from Arun presenting the beauty of the design and kind of bringing a vision to the city. You know, the quality of design matters so much to the psychology of people, to the experiences that it creates. And then, you know, we moved on to the recycling that Welspun, presented, and it talks about, the sustainability going to a next level, how we are, doing so much of sustainable efforts in every bit we do. So I really, wanted to just bring that back into our session in terms of, and then Vinod talked about the global practices, and the entire team, Ritu and team talked about global standards and the pressures it creates in terms of localization. And I loved, like, everybody said so many wonderful things in terms of, like, localization. We don't abandon our culture. And all of this, if we just take a minute, it just takes so much pressure on a workplace as a platform today in India, when it's being looked up as a cost-centric approach. I think that's gone in the 10 years. It's, it's a large workforce that we are catering to today in India specifically, if it's very context to India. And so workplace design, I think today has too much pressure in terms of what the parameters are, whether it is, sustainability, you're taking innovation into workplace, the technologies, the global standards, the local context to it. So there's so much going on. And then added to it, we want to have this cost-effective excellence. I think that needs to really look at the vision of a company. And I just go back to my old notes of, when I was in the architectural school, where the teachers would talk about form follows function. So cost follows the vision. I think I just want to leave that summary ahead in case I lose the audience. But cost should follow the vision, the needs of the companies. And I think that is transforming, has transformed over a period of time. So we cannot hold on to the old standards of, hey, I have X budget, and I want still X plus Y plus Z plus D and E and F in that. So that's just giving that stage on cost-effective excellence is a very relative word, and I will take it to my panelists in terms of understanding what the nuances they are facing from their individual sectors, starting with Shyam, who's, from the, I would say the corporate side, because they are the ones who define the budgets. I think architects all want to have as much as possible in terms of the vision they want to create. So over to you, Shyam, if you can talk about a little bit on the conflicts you face today.
This is the budget constraints. Everybody has got a limited budget. None of the corporates give you unlimited budget to work on. So how do you prioritize and how do you achieve the required design elements within the budget is most important. You could be concentrating on movable walls, flexibility in design. You could be talking about dynamic workspaces where you can probably reconfigure the whole workstation and the other layout over a weekend. So all this could be your priorities. So you fix a budget based on what is that you want to achieve. The next thing is on a long-term ROI that we need to plan for. First thing, concentrate on the passive techniques. Get your building physics right. Try to get optimum daylight into your floors. Have a design of the building which can take care of good circulation of air. You can improve the quality of life, quality of your employees' life at the office by just taking care of the quality of air. I have a project running at Noida, and I understand for 3 months, people actually, they inhale smoke, literally. If you can give an environment within an office, which is hygienic, which can help them be more productive, which can improve their health, that should be something that you should be concentrating on. Energy efficiency, yes, it goes without saying. You can probably install automated blinds after you're done with your glass facade. But if you think about the window wall ratio and forget rest of the stuff, add daylight shelves, ensure that you get no glare. You orient your building in such a way that you ensure the building is efficient inherently. That physics, building physics is something that is more important. If you spend a bit more on that, your maintenance cost, your operational cost will actually come down.
So do you think having a workplace guideline and specifications helps you to maintain those cost efficiencies because you are setting some parameters to your workplace
Yes.
and not just changing it every time and struggling with the numbers?
Yes.
The second thing would be also looking at products that have a long-term view. So the cost is not just an upfront cost of a lifespan of the project. So like sustainability is an upfront investment, but it has an ROI to the workplace.
Yes.
So do you think your organizations are also seeing the cost parameters from not just the hard numbers, but the downstream productivity of employee going up in terms of, and it's such a hard topic, whether workplace is really a productive tool today with a lot of hybrid, you're struggling to get your people in the right manner.
Yes.
It's asynchronous, managers are there, people are not there. How are they being effective? And I actually had a good chat with Vinod when he was talking about that their research dropped down by 80% down because people were not in the workplace collaborating. So clearly collaboration is very important. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is just identifying the areas. You know, what is, I'm sitting here on behalf of a corporate which actually is into a servicing sector. We service a lot of clients. Whereas there are product manufacturing companies, we are project oriented. So for us, it's important to identify what is the function. What is it that we are building the office for? If you have an office designed for collaboration, you then have spent on the AV part, you spend on the spaces that are defined for collaboration, you create social hubs. Whereas if you are individually focused work sort of a culture, that's what, in case of a call center for that matter, you build the floor in such a way that you have those focus desks, you have those phone pods, you have quiet rooms, you have people who can concentrate on their individual task and complete it well. So employee productivity in mind, at the design stage, will help you a lot to curb on the budget and well work within the budget.
Thank you, Shyam. I'll just go around in the interest of just staying within the time frame we have. Srinath, I think over to you. As an architect, what challenges you are seeing in terms of meeting the requirements, and how are you, kind of navigating? And I'll kind of quickly move around between all other architects here today to see how we can, get these inputs.
Hi, thank you, Surabhi. Thank you, Rashmi, for inviting, and it's just amazing to be a part of the team. Thank you for the question. I just need to start adding on to what Shyam had mentioned. What is, and then something about how you mentioned, the cost that we are talking about is not an upfront cost, but rather a long-term cost that we are talking about. So it boils down to the fact that, we are talking about employees. That is the largest workforce that we need to make sure that they are a part of your organization for long and they stay for long. So we are like an architecture firm. And then probably the kind of approach that we make is usually, whenever a project comes in, irrespective of the typology that we're working with, probably it's a pharma project or a kind of a workplace project or a kind of a school project. Always the approach is, first you start with research and understanding the kind of core, what the product needs, what the kind of project needs, and what the whole of the ecosystem where it's getting built, that's the kind of need. So then we boil down into, asking these questions, the tough questions to the client, that what is your budget like? And they ask us the toughest question back that, okay, I have X amount of budget. I will increase my budget by about another 20%. But what is that you are going to come up with that is going to make our lives much more better? So these are the kind of tough questions that we need to answer. So probably, just going back to, about a couple of, or maybe about 5 years back, when the whole shift of dynamics in workplace changed, when the pandemic hit. 2016 to 2019, there is a lot of research tells that the workplace as a whole, there is a decline in the satisfaction levels that was there. And 2019, we hit COVID. Then, people started moving to their homes. They found that kind of a really interesting space, or one of the best workplaces they could work out is their houses, where they were, sitting in their couches, or probably sitting in their living rooms, or, dining spaces, or even the kitchen platform for that matter. And they were able to get a lot of focused work, quiet spaces, and that kind of, they were able to be more productive in that kind of a space.
So I'll just interject. You're trying to refer to that you today are customizing the workplaces more with the patterns of work behaviors and doing a little more science to it to solve, which starts to then get into the space optimization. I'll just kind of move around, sorry. I want to have Meenakshi chime in on, where she is seeing the pulse on this in terms of bringing those efficiencies, because I think workplace design efficiency directly correlates with cost efficiencies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. So, and thank you guys for staying back. I've almost threatened a lot of them to stay back for this session. While, I agree with him, and of course with him too, that, cost plays a very big role in any project that we get. And our first reaction to it is that, we go back, we research, etc. But I think a lot of thing also depends on how we educate the clients back. So, for example, one of our clients, they came to us and they said, this is the budget and, this is what you have to be designing with. And when we went back to them saying that how sustainability and wellness would really help them to cope, with the future and with being foolproof. So, they got back to us and they agreed on it. So their budgets really increased when we educated about the wellness factor. So they were ready to go with the policies, they were ready to kind of escalate their budgets, giving us all the workstations to be height adjustable. So I think it's also on us how we kind of take the cost and go back to client to educate, and then how we utilize that.
So what I hear from, and I guess everybody is hearing all similar things, that budgets are bleeding, and clearly I'm seeing that as a pattern from, because sitting in JLL, I get the opportunity to work with a lot of companies and a lot of data. And I think what we see is that when there is a budget constraint, and if the vision is not clear, the clients will struggle. So obviously, service providers have a big role in terms of giving a realistic costing ahead of where the project deliveries fall in. Now, processes are important, where I think just to kind of, in the interest of audience taking key takes from this, is like the processes do matter in terms of replicating it from site on site. If you're looking at in a portfolio level, you can bring more efficiencies, because we do see that in terms of construction deliveries also, like using the AI. And I'm coming closer to Sid's heart of topic. But before we get there, or maybe I just want to take a quick info from Karthik. Karthik, I know you have worked across Dubai and India, and 12 years in Dubai, and someone in the audience, in the panels were talking about, right, the construction quality in Singapore was like a wow factor. The same Indian laborers are working there, and we have the same workforce in India, but the output we get in two different countries are starkly different. And I'm sure, when you go to Dubai, you also see a lot of construction. What you have observed with your experience in terms of just, between the two, how you brought those efficiencies, or what is kind of compelling in terms of bringing those, in the deliveries?
Thanks. Hi, good evening all. So, with the work experience that happens in the Middle East, for example, you look at the workforce, they're pretty much mostly Indians. So, but there is a difference in the sense that there is a lot of planning pre-design stage, during the design stage, and during the execution stage. And there's a lot of adherence to this concept of Six Sigma, wherein they try to achieve a 99.9% failure, not failure approach sort of a thing. So that helps a lot in terms of from your design, the timeline. Budget is already planned during the design stage, it's not given to you prior to that. And then during the execution stage, there's a very well documentation process that actually avoids any deviations or any changes or any unnecessary approvals at the point of time. So that is one that generally is the approach that happens in the Middle East. While in India, what happens is that, see, how do they arrive at a budget is probably with a benchmark of their previous project. So then what happens is that there's always a constant improvement that is required in your next project. So there is the cost escalation of the budget, but that is actually not factored, I would say, keeping the improvement aspects of it in mind. So that flexibility is where the challenge comes in, but like I said, it's an ongoing process, so they'll have to match it up somewhere.
But one thing that I also wanted to bring to what we have seen, early engagement of value engineering in the design takes a far length in terms of bringing it within the budget, because once you put your vision on the design, you start to then scale it back to, okay, these are the numbers, how do you prioritize at the concept stage? Value engineering definitely starts to give you the best efforts where the priorities of the people are. So today we are seeing people-centric workplace heavily. So you're not spending on fancy chandeliers or tables, but the chairs. It needs to be an ergonomic chair, so it's comfort, first for your people. Amenities are taking a front seat because that's making them more collaborative. They're also getting the experiences to be more engaged to the workplace, and just being more productive. And then you also start to see more of the focus individual workspaces. So we are seeing not just workstations thrown in the workplace, it's a little bit more of an activity-driven approaches. Of course, it depends on the industry again. So like you are also, dealing with retail and hospitality, which then again is a different DNA. So I think the sectors also have different criterias, right? But are you seeing a cost efficiency coming in the retail and hospitality also, like how we are seeing it across occupier services?
Yes, definitely. That is emphasis of cost optimization in all sectors, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's just that the percentage of leeway that people afford to, have the luxury in hospitality is far less compared to what we do in the corporate sector. But the irony that, you were talking of value engineering at the initial part of a project, is that from the global guidelines to the local conditions, we actually, most of the corporates, most of the companies come with this concept of a guideline, where they actually specify every specifications of every product, the detail, what is required, so that they bring in a standardization, keeping the mind that this would actually not have any unnecessary cost escalations. But what's happening is that even with that guidelines that we try to utilize or adapt to the conditions that we have, again we go back to the value engineering. So there is this dilemma between whether to follow the playbook or ensure it. So there is some gap in terms of how the cost escalations happen.
I think you're coming to the playbook which came in the panel, if you remember, guys. They were talking about not everything of the global guideline is best suited to the lands of the country.
Correct.
So I think it's important to look at that playbook or the specs, whether they are adhering to the local codes, laws, and upfront make those modifications rather than struggle at the end of the projects. So early engineering is definitely a key to cost efficiencies. But I think one of the other aspects which has changed significantly this topic is in terms of the timelines. How do you get it faster onto the site, and kind of really when it starts to get complex scales, the AI plays a significant role in terms of bringing those efficiencies at every step of design to delivery. And I'll have Sid talk on it because he's also doing a doctorate from IIT Delhi. I was super impressed on the topic of his passion area, so I'll give him the stage.
Thank you, Surbhi. So instead of jumping straight away on AI, I'll just first take a little transition from what we have been speaking right now. Innovation is a very big word, and for me, innovation is having a brutal take on what we mean by quality of a workplace. And I would rather take a little bit of thing from what Shyam said about the quality, is that we should have a very clear sit down with the client and understand what you define as quality. It's not some jazz material on the wall or on the floor. It might be a very small, nuanced workplace, but it's focused completely on the end users, which means if an end user can properly do a proper focus job, can really feel that they are listened, they've been heard, and things are in place, then we actually have really hit the word called innovation to the T. Now, what happens in 99.9% of our office design in India is that we never understand if a particular size of a project is really required for the requirements or not. So there's a terminology in workplace strategy, it's called space budget. Now, we never address that because in India, strangely, workplace is never done.
My name is Karan Bhusari, I work with JLL. This is a question to Mr. Shyam. He spoke about how you've been doing this for a couple of decades now, and you understand the engineering as well as the ROI mechanism quite well. I just want to know how the conversation in your boardrooms has changed. with respect to how to be in line with budget and how you make sure your timelines are also met. What do you see over these years, your boardroom conversations changing? Because, of course, there's a lot of awareness at their level also. So if you want to throw some light there, that'll be great.
I'll try to keep it very simple. Usually projects, when we talk to the finance guys and get budgets approved, there are a few metrics they follow. One is cost per square foot and a cost per seat. I would be lucky if, whatever Sid mentioned, if I'm able to put 20,000 people in 2 lakh square foot or 1.5 lakh square foot, I still get the same budget? No, that's not how the corporates work. They ask you what is the square foot that you will furnish, and they'll give you only that much budget. So now the conversations have started revolving around what is the employee experience. Post-COVID, most of our conversations in the boardrooms now are related to employee experience. What does the employee want? How does the user perceive the space? Does he want to come back to office? Is it enough for collaboration? Is it catering to all his requirements once he steps in? So we already started introducing couches. We got wellness rooms. We got the dormitories have now gone up a notch higher. You know, they have earlier there used to be just bunker beds with hardly any space. Now you have a full-fledged space for somebody to rest for a while after dinner, or sorry, after lunch. So things have changed. Things have changed post-COVID, I would say. And wherever the fit-outs are at least 15 years old, most of the places we're trying to refurbish them into happening places now. That's happening across.
Thank you, Shyam. And I think, yeah, I mean, ultimately that's the key message. People-centric workplaces will start to define what the cost parameters of an organization will look like. They need to be redefined. I mean, just coming back to India-centric. If this is an India-centric workplace design we are talking about, then India is no more a cost center. It's a people-centered organizational plethora of where we are looking at. And I think that's the message when we are bringing global guidelines into workplace today. Workplace strategy is very instrumental. Thank you for that. But I think every organization needs to diligently plan ahead on their vision. And then I think there are all kinds of wonderful architects and project managers to deliver it with the help of the latest and greatest technology. That's where we summarize it. But I really want to thank each one of you for being wonderful inputs on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panel members, and thank you so much, Surbhi. I'm going to quickly call on stage Mr. Rahul Maheshwari, who is the director with MCI, to give a small token of appreciation from our end to each of the panel members. If you all can just come ahead for
I do want to apologize to the panelists because I think we did not give fair time to each one.
Oh, is it so? Oh, good Lord.
But I'm sure in the dinner table, everyone has a piece of us. So.
We couldn't take many questions from the audience either, but I'm really hoping you all stay around for them to be taking part. Please. Please, Rahul, please do come in. Starting with Surbhi, we'll felicitate her for this wonderful concluding panel that she brought for us. And this is not a one-day task. Trust me, I could show you the WhatsApp messages. They've been going back and forth with the discussions for the past 1 week on finalizing the questions. I'm really feeling bad that way. I had to cut it short. But I'm really hoping that you all are there around for the... Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks to each and every one present here. There are a lot of women out in the lobby for sparing your time, your Friday evening with us and joining us here today. And huge round of applause for this concluding panel. And the dinner is open, the bar is open. We really hope to see you all around along with our speakers here. Thank you so much once again.